collar quote printed, so Tyler they can sign
Our
that.
opening ceremony.
Print it for you.
9 o'clock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Morning, everybody. You've had a chance to look at the agenda. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest or any corrections they'd like to make to it? If not, we'll consider it approved. Madam Auditor, will you please read the minutes?
March 12. Don't blink. March 12, 2024. Board of Supervisors met at 9 AM with Gene Hyden and Chair presiding. Members present were Schultz, Jozark, Hyden, Mulbauer, and Rossberg. Minutes of the previous meeting read and approved. On motion, the board recognized claims for public health and approved claims for all other departments. A motion was made by Schultz, seconded by Rossberg, to approve the appointment of Andrew Samuelson to Conservation Board for a 5-year term ending December 31, 2028. Motion passed unanimously. On motion, duly seconded, the board adjourned 10:17 a.m. Agendas for the next meeting are posted and available at the courthouse on Friday, 4:30 p.m. to see you on the next meeting.
Wow,
Blank.
Thank you.
All right, any corrections?
keep it moving today.
You got it, Kyle.
All right.
You got it, buddy. All right. So it was a long, short week last week, kind of. Dave, do you want to start?
Sure.
Let's let Craig start. He hasn't started forever.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Forever is a very, very long time.
Can't remember the last time you got to start.
Other than going down to the Capitol last week, I guess that was the only thing that I had on the agenda. This week's busier. I got West Central Community Action meeting tonight, IT meeting tomorrow. Thursday night, we have our assessor meeting. So, I guess that's all I got.
All right, perfect.
I thought Day at the Capitol was good and the conference was, well, let me put it this way. I know what you're gonna think. I thought Day at the Capitol for county officials showing up.
Okay, I didn't go down on Wednesday. I was just there Thursday, Friday.
Had a good presence.
Thank you.
Very
Right.
lackluster attendance by your legislators.
Lackluster, I would call it.
So you didn't see either one of our two?
We saw one walk by us, but he was
With his,
busy.
he was busy, he was running with talk on the phone, so that's all we saw. Yeah, I was quite frankly disappointed. I was hoping for an agenda that would tell me where I should be, where I should go, something, some direction, some guidance. I actually even missed the picture on the steps because I was looking for something interesting
I
to
missed
listen
that
to.
too.
Oh, good.
So you
gotta
think
sit
that's
down.
the fault of ISAC? For not being more prepared?
Well, really, it was meant to be a meet and greet with your legislators and have them go around, because you had your different, the sheriffs had a booth, we had an unfunded mandate booth, you had different booths around, but there were just very few that came out to talk to our group.
When I first got there, who was the gentleman that was there from a
Yes.
different county? I can't
Well,
remember.
Barry Anderson, the president, he kind of gave some opening remarks and about being there and having our voice heard.
I don't think our voice gets heard though, because they had the little stand about unfunded mandates,
Well,
and that was,
the other thing, and this is just my own opinion, and it seems like this keeps popping up, and you'll get a kick out of this. We keep being told, I've heard this from just numerous legislators, wives, legislators, whoever, that are close to them, that as supervisors and auditors, basically the local elected officials need to be nicer to our legislators.
Oh.
Yeah, we're too mean.
Oh.
well, that's kind of what Paul
Vicious
said this morning
connects.
too, when he was
Yeah.
yeah.
They're doing the best they can, and a lot of the stuff that's affecting us that and it got heated, and it was brought up in our one hot topics or our, about the House File 718, that we need to be nicer to them. They said in the engineers conference too, that you can't hammer these guys, they'll just shut down and not listen at all.
Yeah, Yeah, not represent us at all.
I feel like that happened before.
They didn't come talk to us about any of
Like
these
now?
changes that directly
Nope.
affect
Nope.
local government and home rule. Or they made these changes and we put back. Now, we're the bad guys for saying, hey, this is bad for our county and the policy that we have to live by and then what we're trying to provide. But that was brought up different times.
Well, I think with House File,
It's
411
Yeah.
being out there right at the exact same time, they wanted to avoid us, I think.
I do
Over
too.
411 is what I think. They did not
Oh, yeah.
want, yeah, I think that,
Yeah.
and that got shut down that same day we were there.
So it's just kind of interesting. And so handle your legislators with a velvet glove because they can't.
They won't
They
listen
can't take
to
them
us.
I mean, it seems like if I'm in their position, I would want to be in contact with my board of supervisors, with my auditors, treasurers, recorder, every local elected official to see what they're hearing from the constituents, right? I mean, how else would you know? We're the ones that are closest to the boots on the
Well,
ground.
that's what they remind us.
Well, I mean, even if you look back at like House File 718, if it was me, my first call would be back to the board of supervisors saying, all right, the auditor, how's this gonna ripple out and affect your revenue? How's this gonna have, I mean, there was no modeling done whatsoever to determine how it's gonna play out.
Right.
It's just interesting.
On the cost of it? It could have been divided up between the three taxing entities. It could have been supported by the state. A lot of different things could have happened
Right.
to help with the costs.
So even you look at just like the extra mailings and
Mhm.
things like that that are all added cost. But
So has
that,
anybody ever seen this legislative request form to send down the problems?
Mhm.
You ever used it?
yeah, it's part of they'll send out different surveys and things like that there. Probably that's how we get a lot of priorities and objectives are through those
Yeah,
surveys.
I thought we did that I sat next to Heather Stansel from Madison County. Has anybody ever talked to her?
She's the one who sent out the email about House File
Yeah, she-
411.
She actually
Against.
got down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they shut, Madison County, they can't even build one in there, right? 'Cause they got an ordinance against it.
They have a moratorium,
Moratorium, yeah.
absolute moratorium, and they got sued.
Mhm.
But I happened to just pick a seat next to her and, she's always the one asking a lot of questions, but once you sit down and talk to her, one-on-one, she's really, really got a plethora of information. And so she actually got done with her meeting on Tuesday and drove down to Des Moines and spoke at the 411. And so she was very, interested in it. She was,
Well, I thought this was an interesting angle, and Jack Seward sent out an email about it as well, where it started off with the propane or like, it's basically with the stove in that one area where a guy had his own propane and then in city limits, we was right beside him, they wanted him to use theirs, so they were gonna not allow county ordinance or to allow this guy to get away with using, and some backstory like that.
yeah, there's a
using
back,
the
yeah.
propane, but the funny thing is, they slipped in pipeline, solar and wind into this bill, so county ordinance, it's like a different angle being used
Mhm.
for county ordinances to be eliminated.
Well, it seems to me like you kind of brought the thing full circle, is that we're supposed to be, with our legislators with a velvet glove, but it seemed like they don't care about us because they are working different angles. It seemed like in favor of the lobbyists and such, in my opinion. I mean, that 411 is a perfect example, in my opinion, that they really don't care what the county thinks. We're gonna do what these lobbyists are wanting by taking our rights away from
And I
them.
did,
That's how I see it.
right, No, you're 100% correct.
And so if we push back on that, we're the bad guys.
Apparently we moved. Do we still live in the United States? I mean, I know I took a public job, but did I lose my citizenship at some point here?
Not that I know of.
Right.
Not as of yet. I mean,
I mean, I'm not hollering at you guys. I'm just pretty frustrated with this.
Yeah.
I know it.
I wish I'd have been down there. I'm pretty sure you might have heard my voice all across that damn dome.
You're not wrong.
Well, I guess that probably was back over at the convention center.
You're not.
When you heard that. Be
You
nice.
would have been
Be nice.
escorted.
We are nice. I mean, I don't go up and talk to them
No, I
like
think-
Jason talked to us up there in Storm Lake that day. I go and have a
Which was
discussion.
totally uncalled for.
I go and try to sit there and have a decent discussion with them. You know, this is what's gonna happen. Now, I have never, at one time, ever felt that I was offending Mr. Holt. And we've always had good discussion. And so I assume that that goes with him back to Des Moines. And I believe my assumption in that is that it does. I mean, I believe that he really takes what we say and weighs it out and does his job as a legislator.
And it might not even be our own local ones that are,
They're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
yeah,
That-
I mean.
I want to do that.
I mean, you know, like at the legislative coffee, I think we had a great discussion and the citizens did. I mean, nobody was rude or, you know, everybody took their turn talking. I don't know, you know, I mean, I don't think anybody's rude to them. I'm pretty perplexed by that. Who's the marshmallow down there in Des Moines that feels like we're bullied?
Oh, no. I don't
You
know.
know, we get bullied pretty regular because we're out here where the folks are.
Taking the heat for the stuff they
Well,
do.
We get hammered, yeah, exactly. We get, you know, the direct line, I suspect you could say.
Yeah.
We don't get bullied, but.
I did get to sit in on some subcommittee, hearings for you bills. Just, it was interesting to be a part, you know, sit in and listen, and some of them were with excise tax on some grain and research and development for new technology on agro-science and some tax exemptions or credits for that kind of stuff. And so there is some work being done and positive too.
Yeah, it's just some things I think.
Just the ones that really affect us stand out like a sore thumb. Granted, we deal with it directly.
We have a few that were affecting us greatly, so, yeah. Anything else for? this
Well,
meeting
otherwise,
right
no,
away?
I enjoyed the conference. I thought the HR seminar was very good, well, what'd you say, Gene? It explained things without necessarily, there's not a definite black and white on certain things.
My takeaway was nothing is black and white. The final answer was always referred to the county attorney. There's no really, black and white. It's always gonna be this way. It's the only way we can do it. Always talk to your county attorney.
Goes back to your horizontal style of government, you know, we're not Terry's boss, she's not our boss, but
Yep. Yep,
we control the budget, she controls her office.
Made that
So it's
very
that
clear.
back and forth of,
but they were so clear.
not just Terry, I'm
I
just.
think it's the
Right,
state,
example.
the state statutes and codes that we actually have the black and white. Well, as we've examined them, they're always black and white either, are they?
But to me, it was the absolute, at the end of the day, you can, and I don't really even like the word control, that I don't know what word to use, they use control, but the budget. If you think somebody's given more raises than you feel the county can afford, at the end of the day, you control the budget. And if there's any question, refer to your county attorney. That was, back me up.
No, I mean, because that, to me, that was the frustrating part,
That was the
because
frustrating part.
is it Christie?
Harshbarger, yeah.
She's the counsel for
I say.
ISAC. And so I guess I was looking for more leadership from her,
Yes,
stating that this is the way ISAC
yes,
views what is written in Iowa code.
yes,
Instead, the answer always, when you were trying to specify, she
Right.
would always refer to, well, you just need to talk to your county
if your
attorney.
county attorney says it's
And I'm
okay,
like,
it's
but
okay.
county attorneys, I mean, if we have 99 counties attorneys in the state of Iowa,
Right.
Everybody could interpret it a little bit differently. So
99
what I
different
wanna know is if my county attorney is interpreting it correctly.
Right,
So,
Um,
which tells you that she just.
Which tells you that
another
it's
opinion.
not, there's not a correct, it's just an interpretation.
Right, an
Of
opinion,
the law, right.
an opinion.
And so that to me, I was frustrated because I thought we would get more leadership. And there wasn't much any leadership
No,
given to me by ISAC.
Has
It
to
doesn't
be.
provide
They
that.
gotta walk on some eggshells
I,
there.
I understand.
yeah,
Because they represent us, the auditors, the attorneys, you know, so,
yeah,
yeah, and like I said,
And they can only give you what they believe is their best opinion of the interpretation of the code.
Right, but I guess I thought as an organization, they would have, this is the way we interpret that,
that's correct.
period.
And there's an AG opinion that supports that.
Right.
That.
Right. And here's why we support
Yeah,
that, given this
and I-
attorney general.
I believe you could win in court if you went down,
Right,
but it was never anything like that. It was kind of, frustrating to me because there's.
Maybe there's been
really-
a lot of AG opinions and some of it hasn't been vetted yet.
No, that's true. There's never been one.
And she did mention sometimes that there is no AG opinion
There's no
on this,
AG.
there hasn't been
There
any.
hasn't been.
I did think it was interesting, or it was pretty comical when, we got talking with Carrie Johnson about House File 718. She was Department of Revenue, wasn't she?
Management.
Management, there you go.
The
And Tim, and you got talking about the budget and going through this and that, and if you don't, it was brought up in the code. If you don't certify this year's budget, you revert to last year's budget.
Dollars.
Dollars.
Last year's dollars.
Well, Tim Fairchild from Dickinson County, remember when he was like,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
well, I'm done. I'm not gonna certify.
Right.
I'll just pick last year's budget.
Because last year's higher
Theirs
than this
was
year.
more.
Because theirs was more.
Special project going on.
And she was kind of like, you can't do that.
What county are you from? What county are you from?
I'm not telling you.
And everybody lost it. Everybody just started laughing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he had a point, like,
It
oh,
was kind of
valid
funny.
point.
It was kind of,
I'm
so
not
she
gonna
was
certify.
typing
I
away,
wouldn't.
and then they
What?
finally asked
Why
another
would
question
you?
and she's done. I'm done. I'm done. It was, I don't blame her. She was just the messenger,
Right,
in the equation,
right. Trying to make sure we handle it appropriately
Yeah,
and
And-
allowing us to access the file
Yep.
from the Department of Management, which we're all county auditors all over the state are working
And
on.
you guys have had.
And
much
because the mail out
training
goes
on
out
that.
tomorrow.
Yeah, and I didn't realize.
So you
and
don't have
I
anything to
should've,
do today?
That
No.
cost and
We hired someone to do it. I am not doing the mail out.
I had my third grader come up.
none of that, none of
Got
that,
stiffed on the
none of that.
Not of that magnitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Tax statements go out by a service,
But
so
here
can this
is
mailing go
also
out by
the
a
problem
service.
with that,
There you go.
in my opinion. People are not gonna understand that, they're not gonna know what it's about,
You know,
it makes no sense, it's
Right.
just,
I'm gonna get bombarded with phone calls.
It's actually more convoluted now than it was before, because before it was your assessed value, your levy, your.
Right, and your
Good
tax
kinds of work.
statements give you more information than this mailer is gonna give you.
yeah,
Because at least it's to your parcel, it explains of your parcel. The mailer that's going out is by tax district.
so the more, like, if you have property in
And
different
who knows?
counties,
broad.
you're possibly gonna get like 4 or 5 of them maybe.
Depending on, yeah, if you own property in multiple tax districts, you
Right.
will get a letter for each tax district.
And like Adams County, the smallest county in, the state, is gonna cost them $7,000 of hard-earned taxpayer dollars, and nobody's gonna understand it, nobody's gonna, the ones that want to understand it, I think even if they come up, it's.
Yeah.
no.
We sit here and aren't quite
That's
always
right. I sat
100%
through
sure. I'm sure you're still conferring with your other auditors. What do you make on this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, and the Department of Management gave us some breakdowns to help us to explain it also.
I think she was trying to break it
So,
down so we could
yeah.
understand it.
And it's available on their website, so
Yeah.
if you want to find it, I can help you find it on the website, the letter
was-
that they produce.
Really wanting to figure out that whole end.
Is that to go out to
game
the
on it,
taxpayers,
you know?
that letter? Is that what you're talking about?
To help explain that letter, yeah.
Yeah.
A letter to explain.
A letter to explain the mail out, yes, yeah,
And then if you don't
exactly.
understand that, then you go to the
I know.
web page and it's gonna help you a little bit more. Boom. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
had decided rather than, I thought since Craig and Dave were in that meeting, I would go to, goals for behavioral health system alignment. And, I stayed in there about 30 minutes and decided I needed to go to the other one because basically it was the same as what we had at the meeting, a while back, but it was more in detail, not detail, but just more about the big ticket items and how, you know, Iowa was so broken and, they
Oh.
hired someone to come up and fix it all for us. And, if there was maybe, I'd say 10 people in there. Yes, I thought I'll make it 9.
That was for statewide
Well, they
supervisor
expanded
meeting.
our
on the same
room.
lady.
Yeah, yeah.
Kelly
So
was
I
in
went in there and I'm like, yes, this is where I should
They
be. I
took the
could
divider
fit-
down so we can fit,
I could
fit
barely
everybody
find
in.
a place to sit, so.
Well, the problem I have with that one
This one?
is they're still not answering. They come in and it's same story.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not that, there's some good things in there too with the reorg, but they're not answering our advisory role, who gets to be the governance board, where the funds of the current regions are gonna be, how the RFP is gonna work out. Is it gonna be a privatized companies coming in and taking over these regions? None of that is getting answered.
Nope, and it wasn't getting answered there either, I didn't think. And I still, you
Excellent
know,
point.
they're going to
careful.
transfer disability
Talk not too
services
loud.
from behavioral health to aging and disability services on July 1st of 2025. So we finally now know that there's a goal and a date for when all these things are gonna transfer over. And in the meantime, everybody's in chaos. So, I thought I can read, so I sit and listen. So I brought it for anybody that wants to outline some provisions, but everything's gonna kind of happen July 1st of 2025. Outlines HHS powers and duties to create the behavioral health system, service system. So it's ready to roll, guys. July 1st, 2025, rolling it all out. Hang on,
And
yeah.
I'm really surprised.
I thought it was, for ISAC, everybody seemed to be so engaged too. You know, sometimes people aren't talking as much. It seemed like every time we got together, everybody is concerned about, a lot of things. And I really did enjoy talking to this Heather from Madison County. She was supposed to be sending me her worksheet on some things. She's a go-getter, let me tell you. She's got,
I like the idea of that worksheet.
yeah, so, I've just texted her or emailed her back, but all in all, looks good. So, who wants to go?
What did you want to talk about? We had 2 more things.
Okay, you go ahead.
The assessor, which is just an option that we talked about, that
Excuse me.
we could potentially have 2080 and have the counties join assessors.
Oh, Karen Carroll.
And Carroll and Crawford. I know Carroll Board was gonna just float the idea. We said we'd do the same, whether it goes in or not. Currently, there is, Scott Johnson got back to me last night. There is no counties in Iowa that are sharing assessor at this time.
Yeah.
There's a couple that talked about it, but then in the interim, got somebody hired and just stayed on their own.
If you don't mind, I'll make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead. Like I said, I'm just throwing it out there that this is an option that I did not know about.
Right, I mean, when we talked about it briefly with Dave and I and Scott talked briefly about it, and I told him too, I said, it'd be nice to see people that maybe used to share an assessor and they don't anymore. Why that is the case. If there are counties that used to share, but now they don't. And, you know,
Are there some that did?
there are some that used to share assessors according to, I guess, I don't know specifically, but as we talked, we kind of thought that there were some
You're right.
that did previously. But if there aren't any agreements now, that tells you that they used to share, but now they don't. Why did they go back?
Right.
It might be your thought.
Well, here's my thing, and I'm looking at it from a couple different perspectives here. All right, like just use Paul as a professional individual. He's always talked about how hard it would be to manage 2 counties, even as close as Monona and small like Monona is, and Crawford, just too much to deal with, you know? And I wonder if it'd be the same way at the assessor, and that sometimes you would be dividing too much, so you would, something would be getting neglected. And while we've been in our process of finding a new assessor, I've been looking and talking to other individuals and assessors. And Franklin County's, her name escapes me at the moment, very, very bright lady. Had a great conversation with her out at NACO. And
she actually does all of her own assessments. She personally goes out and does all the assessments, except for like, you know, the Smithfield size things, Anderson's. That way because those are the kind of companies that challenge your assessment. So she brings in, help me, who we got? Vanguard. She brings them in for those individuals alone to check them over so that you got that third party non-bias to help with court stuff and what have you. And that made perfect sense. Plus that also would take a lot more time to do. So, but she does them all herself. So you got, I won't say there's more credibility. I mean, because Seth and Maddie are probably pretty good at doing it as well now. So I mean, you can train your people up to the problem to get it done well, you know, but, I just think that Sharon could potentially be a challenge. I mean, when you do something like Carrie Kersey's deal where it's more manageable, but a large, I mean, it'd be like trying to share auditors. How long before you came in here and started trying to choke us? If we tried to share. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more to do.
Might be just
That could be normal anyway, you're right. But that's my point. I think that might be, I mean, I'm never afraid of trying something or at least talking through it, but I just kind of want.
And that's all why I'm bringing it up, just to
Yeah.
talk through it. Is something that was an option. I do think too, I agree with you. It's very difficult for the conference board itself now to show up in numbers and discuss and come up with a plan of action. Now you're gonna throw two conference boards together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be difficult.
That would even be harder. I never even thought about the conference board
I
aspect.
did think of that.
That's even more. But you know, did you guys, were you able to talk to any other supervisors down there just to kind of, to get a feel? I lost my train of thought when you said that. On having mandate through the conference board that you wanted to see the number 2 getting trained up to assessor level.
No one really.
Yeah, I would like to see just some more, it's hard to mandate things. I hate
Yeah,
mandating,
yeah.
but I just think with the shortage of them in the state and, you know, make that a prerequisite of being your first deputy or a chief deputy, whatever you want to call it, so first deputy, you know, make that a prerequisite that they're trying to achieve their, you know, training up to assessor level. You don't have to be an assessor, but then that maybe gives your county somebody to step into your county job if your other one would have some reason they're not there anymore and retirement or otherwise. You see what I'm getting at? I just think that might be something to look at, because I can't figure out any other way to improve our supply of assessors. We got a county out there for 2 years hasn't had one. That's gotta be a challenge for their team.
I do think up front the initial pro of combining an assessor is simply that you could have one assessor for this amount.
Yeah.
Like if it was manageable to cover 2 counties and save both counties.
And smaller counties like Carroll and us might work, you know, or
You know,
really
because the
small.
statewide average of an assessor is, I'm just throwing a figure out there, 100,000, and you combine 2
Mhm.
and cut that cost down. That to me was worth looking into, but it's not
Well, you have-
manageable and it's.
My opinion of that would be if you have an assessor and then you have first deputies in both of the counties, and then you have your assistants and your clerks. You know, with the onset of Vanguard becoming so popular to do the footwork that the assessors have done for years and years and years, my understanding.
Winona County hires them to do that work already.
Yeah, well,
Vanguard.
it
all
almost, it almost seems
Yeah, I
like,
was
Every
over
year?
Butte the other day working on the shop and a dude from Vanguard come walking in and started taking pictures.
Oh, really?
Hi, how are you?
but,
So let's say you have
He said, that's what I do every year, I just go around and check commercial properties.
Commercial.
but
That's what he
that
was
is,
doing commercial, there might be another guy that does residential, but.
that is what the assessors used to do. And we
I
haven't gotten
think-
more parcels, so why all of a sudden can't assessors go out and do that? That we
I don't
have to
know
hire?
Winona County situation that they're.
Yeah.
Well, let's just
I
think
don't
about
know.
Crawford, we're hiring Vanguard for $800,000.
And and I guess that's my point for a smaller county. You know, you get a smaller county that's still paying a pretty good amount for an assessor because that's what it costs to get.
Mhm.
But yet they're a smaller county and then they're hiring on top of it Vanguard and someone else to do a lot of the work. and you're still a small county that maybe don't have the resources or the revenue to.
To be fair, though, back in the day that there used to be township assessors working under the assessor too.
To be fair,
You know,
That's a
those
good
are all
point.
points that people that haven't walked the walk for a long
Yeah.
time aren't aware of, but you still, you can see a person's property. Even I can go in there and see what the property looks like and get the whole, overview, the GPS of it, and everything's kind of online and, but they're just like anything else. We don't walk a mile in their shoes, so we don't know what an 8-hour day looks like. You know, so it's hard to make those decisions, but I would think it's worth entertaining, to see how that would go. I don't know. Cause they're so scarce, you know?
It's not something we can make a decision about ourselves anyways.
No,
It would
no,
have to be
no.
brought up to the whole conference board.
And their whole conference board and to get.
No, you're right there.
What would it be? 40 some people to agree, because you'd have all your school boards, all your, small towns, all of your,
And I would assume you'd still just have one conference board.
but I would think they would
But
include.
you're right, it would include now 10.
How many more
board of
people would we have to have on
supervisors.
staff then?
28 mayors,
I
10.
mean, I wouldn't think you'd need any more, but
yeah, I don't know.
I don't
How
know.
that would look.
Well,
so it might not be any kind of a cash offset, that's what I'm getting at.
it might not.
If you have to
Not
add,
significant enough, exactly. And if you're adding more Vanguard or anything else,
Yeah, at the end of the
the
day,
cash offset. You know, I mean, to me, the biggest thing you're looking at is the lack of numbers of assessors out there when you got counties that haven't had them for an extended period of time because there's so few. I mean, we gotta try to figure out a way to remedy that problem. That's-
Yeah, it might fit for some counties, but I don't know if it would fit for ours. I mean, the population, you know, rural America shrinks, but the parcel numbers don't.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think somebody was,
True,
who was looking up those numbers?
no, very true.
Just a conversation, so we'll decide what we want to have on the agenda for Thursday. I'm gonna get together with Seth, after this meeting and get the agenda kind of set for how that's gonna look.
what do you guys think is worthwhile to bring up Thursday night, or is it, I mean, if there's not that, I mean, if we feel like it's not a good route to go, I guess, is it our duty to bring it up, that's an option? I don't know.
I think it's too far out there. I don't, you know, theirs hasn't even retired yet. It's,
Right.
I think it's too soon to bring it up personally.
Yeah, I think our first priority right now is to put our person in place.
I think so too.
You know, if we have one that we want. And when I say we, it's the conference
Conference
board.
board. So I'll get together.
I
with
can get
Seth.
behind that. Like I said, this is just for discussion.
Yeah, no, and I think it's,
Absolutely. That was-
I never-
this
I
is
think that's a good point, is put our person in place, and then if we wanna proceed,
yeah,
we got the one person,
we got a good person in place.
and then we can get some input from that person, what they would think.
Yeah, that might be,
Right.
that might be important to bring
I
up.
would think so, when we talk about the state, not talking to the,
Yeah.
I think we wanna, if we're gonna make a decision like that, you wanna talk to the assessor.
Yep, very good, very good point.
I think that's,
I mean, because we are kind of guessing what all they do. I mean, you know,
yeah, so,
we don't know.
The other
conversation.
The other thing I was gonna bring up, and Gene and I were on the phone together about it, was with Carrie Kersey.
Yes,
We had a call about, some nuisance ordinance and wool year, which this is not anything new, we had dealt with this 2020.
yep,
The car lot?
yep.
And
It's pretty bad.
it's not getting better, in fact, our call was that it's getting worse again.
Yep.
So, also kind of coincides with their 125th anniversary.
Oh,
coming
that's
up.
coming up this year.
So,
There's a number of people that would like it to see it resolved or cleaned up for that.
Maybe we could put all them up for raffle.
well, we think it's an environmental, and so she had sent us the notice of violation back from April 30th of 2020. She visited the property. She has photos of her investigation, which are attached. So along with that, Dave and I got a hold of Roger because our nuisance ordinance requires that the sheriff goes out and takes care of that, makes the So they were supposed to get together and set a time and start figuring out,
If there are any violations, what those violations are.
Is that a business or a order or, I don't really know.
Carrie seems to recall that when
Who's Carrie?
Terry
Percy?
Kersey from
Gal
Keller
came here from
Environmental.
Carroll.
Because the problem is
Okay.
that there's oil, there's concern about the way that the motorhome is getting rid of the waste because it's all, there's no septic system there, and so
Oh,
there's a concern that there's possibly some dead animals over there. And there's an eating establishment right across the street, and they're getting ready for the big celebration, but, May 7th of 2019, there was a violation, solid waste disposal rule 567, chapter 117, requirement for waste tire facilities, solid waste, so you've been over there,
I don't
and so
know.
you sent all of that to us, but things have gotten worse, so we're kind of on it a little bit, and Roger is aware of it, so I just wanted to let you guys know that, somebody might come up and talk to you about it,
Well,
they received another complaint August 19th of 2020.
Who receives the complaint?
Carrie must have
Okay.
received a
I guess about the
complaint.
time we put in our own nuisance abatement, our nuisance ordinance in regards to that, so that time frame.
in that 2020 timeframe.
Yeah, this, I think Carrie kind of spurred all this discussion, got brought to us.
I remember sitting here and you
We
guys
need to have-
talking a lot about it.
Well, the ordinance was put in
Yeah.
place, you know.
And, you know, simple things never are simple around this table.
No. that's
Well,
right.
you remember
So we had
Kyle?
to decipher, you know, between farmers, you know, all their treasures or their parts vehicles that they have sitting around, it's like,
Which got us into, and kind of into the weeds in a very gray area of where do you know, you still have property owner rights.
right.
That's why we kind of enacted more of that environmental health risk. If you have
Mhm.
oil and battery acids and things that are polluting around you that infringes on your neighbor, then
Yep,
that's something that we could move forward with Kerry Kersey and the nuisance ordinance, but
yeah. But yeah, we just gotta remember as a board that, you know, this goes, we just gotta stand our ground, you know. It'll go to court,
Well,
which is fine.
it seems to me that back
Seems like
then,
small towns, when it goes to court, then they back off quick, you know, if nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
I'll pass this around,
We gotta
rather
keep
than read it all to
The
everybody.
environment.
That's who was all
Right,
notified. It's
and
probably
just be
easier
prepared,
just
and
read
if the
it
judge that
yourself.
day
Me to read it.
decides that, you know, that's his treasures,
Those are all the people that were
Nothing to do.
notified of this problem.
but the
and it still
environmental side of
continues
it, I think,
today.
would be.
So
Well,
who
if
dropped the
you're-
ball?
You know, disposing of solid waste or there's oils contaminating or anything to that nature.
I think if we even pass discipline around that was going on in 2020 and all of the people that were notified, and it still goes on today, we definitely have a disconnect in the way that this is supposed to work, because definitely he's breaking our ordinance, breaking the rules of environmental, disaster, and it's gotten worse. And when you see the list of all of this, you're like, no news is good news, so sometimes you assume
Yeah.
that this has all been taken care of, and it just takes somebody to give us a call and say, it's bad, and then we start again from square one, so I think this
and that's where
time,
we're at.
that's where we're at.
But you have an ordinance in place now, which
We
you didn't
do.
have before
We
2020.
do, we do.
And if he's choosing to ignore it, his environmental stewardship's in question and
Well, and, the sheriff has been notified to go, but he was going to coordinate, I sent him Carrie's information, he was gonna coordinate. And they were gonna meet over there together, because she does not want it, last time she didn't want to trespass. But with the sheriff there, I think it makes a little bit of a difference, so, anyways, that was a lengthy conversation that we had, trying to get that straightened out, so.
Yeah.
Dave, anything else?
That's it.
Hi, you're up.
I really didn't, I had a pretty quiet week. I didn't go to the CDC thing. I couldn't get my Zoom to work, so I didn't get to participate in that last week. So I had no real input for that. not just second-hand information anyway. Trying to think, I've had a couple calls, but it's stuff like I had one of the secondary roads guys calling, was wanting to know about what we were doing with the vacation stuff and what we'd talked about, if that was what was gonna happen, but they'd heard that we weren't gonna go that way, and that I said, well, whatever the department heads brought on that, we'd kind of, that was what you liked, pretty much what we were content with. So that's how it's gonna happen. So then they were happy. At least it sounds like it. And, yeah, other than that, I didn't really have anything other work. You guys were, all of the NACO conferences or meetings that I usually have don't, typically, after the conference, you don't have a meeting. They'll probably start next month again. So, this week I got,
Oopsie. Oh, yeah, there's the pictures. There's the demo. So,
right,
you've already seen all of that. It's a mess.
is that the picture of the place?
Yeah, then there's all of the different agencies that were contacted back then, if you could go back to the other attachment. As supervisors,
That's just it, is that?
we can notify the proper people. The proper people can notify the other proper people, but for some reason, it hasn't been resolved. So,
I think, yeah, I've been
Yeah.
down there, so
Yeah.
I've seen that.
yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. So we're kind of working on that a little bit, and hopefully, I'll just show Titus real quick.
I'm talking about, it's not on the agenda.
Opioid funds,
Oh, yeah,
isn't that,
I think we've got.
go ahead, go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, just the bill for $1,500, and I see it highlighted the motion for 10,325 from opioid funds. I guess I didn't realize that. This was going.
Did we cut our checks for that much?
Not the 1,500, we have paid for the original training. I've asked her to let us know what that is.
Mhm.
Because she made it sound like that they put out training to the community, to information for the community to know, and I don't know where exactly, I don't know how many people attended. Cause we're gonna need to know that stuff for part of when they audit us.
Mhm.
And with the motion says, a motion made by Hyden, second by Moser, to approve the request from jail and Plains area for the amount of 10,325 from Crawford County Opiate Settlement Fund for subsidies for prevention. There's nothing about ongoing, there's nothing about, I'm just curious.
No, I know, I'm just sharing
No,
information.
no, and I just want,
You all need to decide, I don't.
I guess my
I'm not
question
deciding.
maybe was, we approved the 10,000 and change, but have we paid all that
No.
10,000?
We're
So
not,
if she can show
Just
proof
over
that this was
5,000.
actual for training,
right, and I'm
Then
trying
And
to,
it would come out of that, you're right.
yeah, then it's
right.
okay, all right.
we're
If she
trying to
can come up
gather
with
that
that
information.
information. I
Good
should-
questions that need to be answered.
Right,
Like, do
exactly.
you expect us to be year after year, even above the 10,000 or?
Right, yeah, it's not an additional. I thought it was an addition, at first I thought it was an additional.
No. Mm-mm.
I just sent you. an
I forget how
email.
much the
Forward to
training
your-
was
You're a
originally.
fair board rep.
I should have printed
No,
that out, but I didn't.
Dave does. Oh. Send it to him. Okay,
Yeah, as soon as I get more, I'll share that with you guys.
And you're right, Kyle. I mean, if it's still within the amount of the 10,000, we approve that, but
Yep.
still it'd be nice to know what their intentions are. If it's ongoing above and beyond, are they gonna come back, request more? Do we get a report from
Right.
them? Okay. Thank you.
I guess the only other thing is, I don't know how much you guys, we told you about the air conditioners out at the Ridge Road Tower that took a crap and it was 100 and, what was it, 120 degrees in there that day?
in February.
Yeah. They said, they told us that that equipment keeps you warm in there. You probably don't need heat, but you have to have AC. So we just signed a 911 is gonna help out with it. And so we're gonna get Carroll Control to put in new units. You know, they do all our other air conditioning, like here in the courthouse and what have you. And, you know, so we're just gonna go at 14,560 or 650, 560.
560.
Yeah. So we'll have them fix that and then that'll keep that in good shape and.
So is that EMA and 911
Yeah.
are paying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and, everything's moving a little slower on the paperwork wise with Greg, you know, not being around lately. But Tim's been filling in, but since he works out of town all the time, you know, it's just taking a little bit longer to get all that paperwork, so I'm just letting you know where we're at. And, that's about it, that's all I got. I mean, I didn't have a busy week with this stuff last week.
Some weeks are like that.
And
Kyle, you'll be next, okay? You'll be next after Paul.
That's fine.
Morning, Paul.
Good morning. How was it around?
It's.
You know, here, over there. Gene, right there. There you go.
Thank you. Paper.
Well, a few new things here. Not much on the projects, the shop, they continue to work on that, the building's up. They're just doing the inside insulation, sheeting and working on that stuff. And so probably be working on the concrete once the weather does straighten up and stays nice for a while, so. Moving along really nice, building once done. Great crew, they're started up, of course, the weather was really, really good last week. We got a little rain that slowed them down, but we'll continue to go to work here, but they're gonna finish up on that T Avenue, then go up on H Avenue and dive into the first big project for the year. And Rich crew, they're up on that 110th Street, should finish that up today or tomorrow. And then they're gonna go on this pony truss over by Tom Ludwig's. I don't know if you know where that's at, but right by his house, just west of his house. And we'll do the same thing we did Tom Staley's bridge. Take the truss out, put some beams in and have a nice 24-foot wide legal bridge. So perfect. And then just keep on working on, I'd kind of like to go over the west side and put that temporary bridge in. You know, the one we bought, 3 spans of that in next. So we'll see where we go with that.
Is that the bridge that just goes to that one place?
It's a good
Yeah, I
place
did
for
have
that
a
temporary.
call about that the other day, about some land changed hands or something now, and it's all under one property owner,
Yep.
and they're gonna eventually get rid of the access to the south, is that?
Yeah, that's
So that was his concern or whatever.
Clint Von Glahn. We've already talked to him and he's willing to let that go until we get the bridge in.
Okay,
And then once the bridge is in, I mean, those people really, they have a way out to the east.
yeah, I think his concern was that if we could get it done more sooner than later. Cause
Yeah.
eventually he wants to get rid of that access
Yeah.
road through there now that he owns both properties.
And I don't blame him.
Yeah,
So, yeah, well, we've already talked with Clint and he's all in on
Okay.
working with us. Cause we'll have to come in that route with the crane to get on the west side
sure.
of the bridge.
Yep.
There's no good way to get a big crane. We're gonna have to hire a crane to come in a couple of times to set those sections, cause we don't have the capability to set those, but
Worth the money.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So it'll work out good. It's a great place for that bridge because it's, you know, it's got the metal grate decking and low volume. Just goes to,
pony truss is at the square.
Right.
Instead of
Yeah.
the rainbow.
yeah. So, and I already talked to Tim, we're gonna try to salvage it. It's got a concrete deck on it, but we'll do the best we can to salvage it, and make it available for sale. So just take it to the sale barn. That's the plan.
Okay.
And so we'll see how that goes. The roadside crew, chomping at the bit.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
But we'll be starting up here soon. You know, it's gonna be cold the next 10 days.
You can say I'd at least wait until after the weekend.
After we get
Crazy.
through, yeah, April 1st is kind of our normal target date,
The
so
weeds are growing, right?
they are, yeah, the stuff is growing.
Things are getting green.
So, yeah, good news out of last week's conference there, that SERPDAC meeting, which is the Secondary Road for Fund Distribution Committee meeting. The DOT always gives us an update on projected road use tax revenues, and so they're projecting it to be up 6.4%, which is really good news. You know, and so the total, and if any of you want this, I can make copies of it, but this is what we discussed. This is the factors that are generated by the formula, okay, that was established 20 years ago. And so, and then here's kind of a bar chart that represents the factors by county. And so, you know, and then we always do an analysis every year to see, you know, how stable it is. And, you know, so the farm to market changed very little, all within very acceptable norms of variations. And the same thing with the secondary road fund, very stable formulas. And that's what most people want. In fact, all people. There hasn't been any controversy over the last 20 years. So if you want copies of this, I can sure make copies and get them to you. And then it shows the total amount that's generated for the secondary road fund is just about 425,000 just for the secondary road fund. And then you add the farm to market in, and that's where you get the 547 million. So it'll be an additional $25.5 million based on that 6.4% increase statewide. And then that'll be allocated based on these formulas. So for us, that $250,000 to $300,000 range. So, which I was kind of anticipating. So good news.
Part of that you're saying has to do with the car sales? Is that part of it?
Right. I mean, this is the tax that you pay to the fuel pump, but it's also the license fees and sales tax and everything that's paid over here goes into this this account. And so the increase is due primarily to automobile sales and licensure. And the increase is because the vehicles are more expensive.
Yeah,
So it's a good thing.
good
We
thing.
continue to see nice increases in that road use tax fund that helps us through some of these times where we get inflation on the expense side. That was good news.
I know what I pay in license for one vehicle
It's expensive.
now is more than like I bought a car for.
It's crazy.
Back the day.
Oh,
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
and then you hear some of these people that their automobile insurance, their monthly automobile insurance premiums are higher than
Our car payment.
their car payment.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, crazy. So, Seal Coat, the Streets in Vale, Monty Creighton, the mayor, he had called last fall, so I'm gonna go over there and meet with them, but, you know, we do have those roads that are our jurisdiction. We transfer some of the money back to them, so, you know, the agreement says that when there's a major project, we'll step up and help take care of it, because they still are our streets to take care of. They're our responsibility, so whenever there would be a major project, we'd wanna kind of talk about that. So I'm gonna go over there and meet with him and find out exactly what streets he wants, get a price, and then we can kind of talk about how much participation they might bring to the table for that. So I just give you a little heads up on that. And then, of course, the current legislation, you know, that we all kind of learned about moving forward. So you guys were down there and
Paul, I thought it was concerning when the whole idea of it's okay to get rid of CERTAC because the methodology will stay the same and put it in the DOT commission's hand. We've past experience and not very long ago, actually very current, they tend to tweak that methodology, or if it's out of our engineers and supervisors' hands, let's make a little adjustment. And look back at like our overweight limit permit and how they changed that and took it away from us. You look at our commercial backfill and they took that away from us. Our advisory roles, they put us, I mean, it's just
yeah.
very concerning.
Oh, it is. I think it's a bad idea. I mean, you have to ask yourself the question, what interest would the DOT commission have in the sub-allocation of the monies that are dedicated for county roads? I don't know. I mean, and especially in the
It's not in
system,
their wheelhouse now,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
putting it there.
and especially in a system that has worked great for 20 years.
Paul, couldn't they tweak if it, I mean hypothetically, if it's in the DOT commission's hand, next year they could say, well, we're gonna leave methodology pretty much same, but we have a project in Des Moines,
Well,
Polk County.
all
So
they-
we're gonna tweak it just a little bit to put an extra whatever, a couple million here for this project. Isn't that what
All they
essentially
have
could
to do
happen?
is take more weight and add it to population and take it away from size.
Right.
They just shift, it's just a small change. But that small change then, changes the factors here, in the urban, and I'm not saying that the commission has any ill intent. Although I have I cannot understand why the current system needs to be fixed. There's no compelling reason to change something that has worked so eloquently for 20 years without any issues.
But even if the DOT
You just
commission
don't.
doesn't have ill intent, without a supervisor engineer on it to voice
Yeah.
the difference of why that little adjustment is wrong.
It's taken the sub-allocation of money that's statutorily designated to counties completely out of the county's hands to determine how it'll be sub-allocated.
And we know how that's gonna end up.
And like Dewey,
Presumptive, but there's no compelling reason to make the change.
and the commission costs us nothing.
I mean, you could argue a little bit because we were at the meeting there. There was 12 of us that attended and, but some were, but
Well, so
very little cost. Very little cost. Yeah. I mean, it just,
Well, your
Yeah, yeah.
cost versus benefit are pretty significant.
that's $547 million. There's probably not another committee in the state that
Allocates that kind of money.
allocates that kind of money.
Well, to me, they were doing this to get rid of a lot of committees / boards that were unnecessary or probably cause them more headache than good. But this wasn't one of them. How did it end up on that? To me, I'd like that explanation, because if it works that good, and I don't see anybody arguing that point,
No.
I mean, then that would tell me that there's some kind of other agenda out there. That's just where my mind goes.
To me, it was a approach to these commissions with a hatchet, not a scalpel. That was brought up. They could have went in with a scalpel and said, oh, wait a second, surf deck is just fine.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
my point, yeah.
And we made our case. The House file is completely different. We want to support the House, or the House version of the bill. And then the Senate, and they're a long ways apart, the two are. And so at some point, in order to get anything done, they're gonna have to come together and compromise to get anything done on this bill. And it's a huge bill. It's 312 pages long, and it has all kinds of committees and, and everything in it. So there's a lot of work to do to get some sort of compromise. My concern is that it's gonna happen in the 11 and a half hour. And it'll be just kind of this way, boom, it's done, it's passed, it's over.
Because it is tied to appropriations now.
Well, $547 million. So it's got a tag to it.
Which means it can come in the Christmas tree bill.
It can come at the end, and I'm suspecting that's probably what'll happen. But, all we can do is make our case. We tried that. We did that down there, and that it just begs to stay the way it is. But at the end of the day.
We're pleading our case a lot anymore.
Yeah, I know. So, and then there was this Land and Liberty Coalition. And some common sense wind energy ordinances, solar energy ordinances. I know you all have been talking about that. I've been involved in that, but I thought it was interesting. They're trying to develop some consistency throughout the state on, local government developing ordinances that aren't widely, different. And so I thought that was interesting. I didn't know if anybody would pick that up, would be interested in it at all, but. So.
You got that down there?
Mhm.
I'd like to.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you. Other than that, that's all I have. So Hungry Canadians, you're not available, but we do have a project in there. I talked to you about that last week. It's just right outside of Ricketts, on G Avenue and north, right at the intersection. There's a structural plate pipe with your ordinary
Go on there and Debbie Gress.
aggressives, yeah. So John was out yesterday and I mean, I'm pretty sure we already have the riprap sitting in box pile.
I seen a pile, I seen a.
So I'm a little presumptive, but I think we're gonna get the money. So, we'll start on that right away. We'll probably do that next week because we're right there and then go over to the bridge.
You're gonna work on that, outlet and the infrastructure.
Put a stilling base into that. Yeah, it's gonna yield us probably $30,000 to $35,000 in
Mhm.
payments. So,
Okay.
that's all I have.
Can I ask a question before I move on? Was that Lucas or Jamie that made the comment about how we're into disruptive to our officials down there, or was it something from higher?
No, I have a number of them. I know Lucas had mentioned.
Bringing numbers with the bags, one on the plane.
Capital and
Before you got.
trying to.
Well, now that we're officially the broker, we wanted,
I think we're being
Amy
responsible.
to know who her service team was gonna be and stuff.
Okay.
Chris Ross.
That's cool.
They introduced her. She's a treasurer. My husband.
Yep, pull one of those
And maybe
chairs
it's not
up,
him
make
himself.
yourselves at home.
Okay, thank
But there's just,
I'm just curious if it was just a thought out of our ISAC team, or if it was coming from the state.
Thank you.
like I said, not all.
Thank you.
There's-
Okay.
So which one of you guys is on the board of directors at Region 12?
That's me.
Oh, okay. I met with Rick yesterday. I was in Carroll yesterday and he's like,
Yeah. Did you give him a hard time?
always. Yeah. You know, Jeff didn't come to the meeting yesterday either because we were kind of double booked. Remember Jeff Clayton was
Oh,
here
yeah,
last
yeah,
time, so we got Keith's.
That's
Divided and conquered and whatever. The attorney. Anyway, Rick said he's dead. Jeff was dead to him. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty harsh. But
Glad to have you guys.
yeah, we're glad to be here. So we introduced the rest of the team to Amy, but you know, you met Jeff and myself. We came here and kind of pitched the whole Murphy idea. Keith Duncan is also the lead producer on the account with Jeff and I. So you'll probably see a combination. So we're not gonna probably bring a van load of people every time. But we did want Amy, you know, Amy's been working a lot with Melissa Whitrock.
Yep.
And local person and Hannah Schuster. So they're kind of more the day-to-day folks, kind of behind the scenes for Keith and I and Jeff's. So your employees will get to know them as well, I think, if they have issues throughout the year, things like that. So just really wanted, they don't have a big speaking part today, but we wanted them to put a face to the name, I guess, because Amy's had some communication with them.
Thanks for coming along.
Yeah.
Good job in the office.
So that's what we said, a nice day for a road trip, right?
There we
Yeah.
go.
Heard about the new Dairy Queen in town, so.
Get in line because it's free ice cream day. So
Okay.
Highway 30 will be closed officially.
When does that start? I was
I
gonna say,
don't know.
we came on the right day then.
Oh, absolutely. It's
We do have the
amazing.
best DQ in the state.
We do.
That's awesome.
I would put it.
That's right.
You've heard all of them. Yeah, a lot of people, yeah,
It's
so
old school.
don't
but
leave
it's
town
good
so
old
that,
school.
without knowing
I like
what
that.
you're missing.
All right, so we do have a lot to talk about today. I'm gonna talk high level some of the stuff since we are on a public meeting. We're gonna go through some high claims, things like that, so.
Okay,
So today we really need to get through your renewals. We've been your agents now for like 15 days or something. You know,
Okay.
so we're trying to hustle along. So we got your Walmart renewal to talk about, then we have an IGCP quote. And then our goal today would be to get some direction for you guys saying, hey, IGCP sounds like the path to go or it doesn't, or we're gonna stay self-funded at Walmart. Let's go look at options in there because this increase isn't okay. So you guys are getting an increase this year from Walmart. So we just got that last week, so we're here to talk about that today. Okay. So we'll just kind of walk through this. We got a big agenda. Like I said, Jeff, Keith and I, once we sell the account, we don't go anywhere. It's not like, you know, we sell and turn over and we're hands off. You always have us involved in renewals, strategy meetings, things like that. But I did want to, like I said, Hannah and Melissa, they do a lot of the heavy day lifting and they'll be kind of an extension of Amy and her team to make sure your employees are well taken care of. I'll probably skip some of this fluff with how are you doing, you know, your obstacle. We kind of know why we're here today. And I'll just jump into first year medical renewal. So if you go to page 6, just want to make sure everybody's on the same page, what you guys are offering today. So the plan that the county has today, you guys have a $2,000 single deductible, a $3,000 family deductible. Your out-of-pocket maximum is $3,000, $5,000, $3,000 for single, $5,000 for family. Everything is co-insurance. So if someone goes to the doctor, they just pay 20% after they meet your deductible. You don't have any co-pays or things like that. So the reason I point this out, the renewal is an apples to apples. So what Walmart's proposing for July 1st of 2024 is the exact same plan you guys have today. So when we go through those numbers, we're kind of apples to apples. I did kind of want to set the stage here a little bit because IJCP plan, you could argue there's a few enhancements. The deductible's a little bit low, or the out-of-pocket's a little bit lower. Then if you look at the middle of the page here, your prescription drugs, you guys currently, your employees have a $50 single deductible and a $100 family deductible. That's extra just on drugs. And they also have a $1,000 out-of-pocket maximum. So drugs. So in theory, on your guys' plan, a single person could meet $4,000 in out-of-pocket a year, $3,000 for medical, and $1,000 for pharmacy. So
So when we move to those plan designs too with IGHCP, you'll see some variances in the co-pays differences as what Joe was mentioning. The telehealth piece is at $0. So we highly encourage the utilization of telehealth. And I think the addition of a tier 4 prescription copay as well, which is not included today.
So I don't know what the renewals have looked like in the past, but Walmart does give pretty good reporting for a group your size. So being self-funded, we can open the hood and see everything going on in your plan. So I'm jumping down to page 7. I'm just gonna how did you guys perform this year? Your per member per year, PMPY allowed amount with Walmart this year was $5,301. That's up 22% from last year. So the county, it ran pretty hot this year, your guys' medical plan. You're 1% from the benchmark of Walmart though. So really, you guys aren't a huge outlier, and I think that's why we do have competitive quotes from Walmart's IGHCP plan. But why are you guys up 22% if you kind of go down this tree chart with me? Inpatient was actually down this year, which is great. That's the most expensive place to receive services. And it was down 6.4%. You can see cost was up 2.5, but utilization was down 9.1. Really what drove your guys' increase this year was outpatient. And there was some chemotherapy going on in your group that we found out about. So outpatient was up 49%. Cost was up 10.9 and utilization was up 34%. So that's really what drove your guys' increase this year. Any question on that? Have you guys seen this decision tree chart in the past? No.
I haven't.
You can look at, and so we literally got this hot off the press last week.
Last week.
Yeah. So we went back to Walmart because there are some things that are showing up goofy. Like you can see here, it says RX is 0%. You have no RX spend, which is not true. We have 2 pages of medicines that your employees are on. So we have some questions back to Walmart, like, okay, justify this to me. This is not 0, but so just
Walmart generates this report, not you?
yeah,
Right.
Walmart made this report. Yes, that's correct.
All right.
Once we have a better handle on your group and we've been working with you guys, we'll send you guys monthly reporting. We'll put this in our format and say, here's what's important. Here's the premiums you guys paid versus the claims they paid out. Things like that. We do that on a monthly basis, but Walmart does give you an annual report and this is their report.
So when they say this RX is 0, are they saying that we had no prescription? Is that
This
what
report
that's
they
telling
generated, the prescriptions for whatever reason were not broken out. And that's not true, because you'll see in a few pages, you guys have 25 top drugs that, people are on.
And when you look at this and it breaks it down by cost and utilization,
Mhm.
is the cost part just meaning that the cost over the same thing the year before, it went up that much?
The cost of the services you received in the inpatient setting went up 2.5%. So it's not actually looking at apples to apples, but the total cost of the services was more and the utilization was actually down. The easiest one is probably the office services. So the cost of the office services, what they went in the office was actually a little bit cheaper this year. It was down 20% and utilization was also down.
Okay,
So that's what.
so it's not comparing a cost of a physical a year ago.
It's not.
The cost of a
It's
physical
not.
this year.
Walmart talks about their trend in a few slides. We'll talk about what Walmart says their trend is at, but no, this is not.
Okay.
But, anytime someone says, you guys have spent 22% more than the exact period for last year, we gotta talk about an increase, so. Just
Is
kind
there
of,
any inflation driving any of that? I'm
Yeah.
guessing, huh?
Yeah, I'd say we always see inflation go up every year. Of course, and health insurance deal is gonna get more expensive. That's what we're trying to fight against. We see still some delayed care from COVID as well. So for some of those members that weren't going to get care in COVID, they're now starting to get more and more care. Along with, we'll talk through the drug costs as well, but those are shooting up tremendously high. To the tune of some $1 million, $2 million drugs. Not for you guys today, but there are some out there that could be.
You know, one hire away or one diagnosis away to someone with a $1 million drug.
But when you talk about that, are you possibly talking about elective surgeries that people chose not to have during COVID and now
Correct.
they're going out and doing it, and that's why it's,
Yeah.
okay.
Correct.
Walmart we're not talking specific to Crawford County. Walmart said across their book of business, the delay of care is starting to tick up
Okay.
or whatever. So like you, exactly, you hit the nail
Just
on
want to
the
make sure that.
Yes,
that's what we're-
yeah,
I was
correct.
picking up what you guys.
Do you ever get to see their net profits? Like,
Have you seen their building downtown Des Moines?
wonder like how much
Yeah.
they pocketing
That
over?
was the funny one right there.
Well, you know they're self-funded. We can look at the fixed costs.
Yeah.
What Walmart's trying to increase, they're not increasing terribly on the fixed costs. This next page, page 8, I'll just kind of go through this. Health and pharmacy claims are up 24.9% from the prior year. You can see in this top here, cost trend. If you look at like P-2, that's 3 years ago, P-1's 2 years ago, priors last year, and then currents this year. We're looking at a January to December incurred period. So you can just see it went up, this time period, $300,000, the total amount paid by the plan. So pretty significant there. Your memberships has stayed pretty consistent here. I like this page that Melissa and team put in here on page 9. Some of the bullet points on the right here. 78.6% of your members had claims less than $2,501. So I'm looking at page 9 and the bullet points on the side. So I think this is really important. When you guys talk about your out-of-pocket maximum being at 3,000, I think your plan fits your employees very well. So 78.6% of the members on your plan had less than $2,501 in claims.
Wow.
The remaining 21% of the population had 87.3% of your claims.
And I'll say that's not uncommon.
No.
Either. That happens with every group. And as you'll see too, when we flip to another couple pages, a lot of those high claimants, unfortunately, they are still active on the plan. So that's part of the increase as well. Mark's seeing, one, what will their claims look like next year from a cost standpoint? They're able to project, potential utilization, RX, et cetera. And that's where that increase is coming from. That's why this reporting is so important to run through and help strategize with.
So had they seen that one of our claimants had gone through their whole cycle and they were no longer, let's just use chemo.
Yeah.
Off chemo.
Yep.
Then we could have possibly gone down, our premium could have possibly.
Yeah, and there's always a chance for that individual to elect Cobra as well
Okay.
too.
Okay.
Joe, I don't know if you've seen anything in the past to where there is some wiggle room that will say, if there's a really, really high drug, and they come off the plan, you're able to then go back to Walmart and say, can you work with us a little bit?
Okay.
So there is some wiggle room, but it's not going to impact the tune of a 10 or 15%, yeah.
So, and one other thing I think you're hitting at is, what happened in the past is one thing, but Walmart does give us prognosis notes on what they expect from these same individuals the next year. And that definitely goes into what they set your renewal rates at.
Based on the history of.
Nurse case name management notes, I mean, these underwriters, they have as much information on these patients as their own doctors.
Sounds creepy too. AI
That's
is
creepy.
a tool that's being utilized a lot now, so they're now being able to project what this individual's health could look like in the next year or two. Really, really weird, but we're starting to see it more and more often.
Wow. Which one of us are expendable?
Yeah. That's right. We won't be here next time a robot's actually.
creepy for
it. Yeah.
There you go. There's the creepy part.
Just other notes on this, we highlighted, last year you had one person over 100,000 in this time period. This year there's 2 people over 100,000. And actually, when we start talking about the watch list for next year, I think there's 3 people that they expect between 100 and 200,000 in claims. So I'm just telling you the story because as a self-funded group of 100 people, there's a lot of volatility. Because I'm not gonna spoil it, but the IGACP quote is pretty competitive. So, big question on that so far? Again, here's your top 25 drugs. You guys had,
Wow.
I mean, it's been $48,000 in paid by the plan. So I don't know why that report was showing 0. So that was one question we had back to Walmart. It doesn't really change anything. They've accounted for in the total cost, but I was just curious if it's up or down, what trend, which way we were trending. Are we better or worse? Honestly, looking at the price per prescription on the second from right column, your highest one in there is like $5,000. Most of our groups at least have 1 or 2 Humiras. I think the last time Jeff and I were here, we talked about what Walmart was doing with Humira. You guys actually, sounds funny to say this, you don't have a drug problem. I mean, there's really prescriptions I would not say are driving Crawford's County costs. It's your high cost claimants. people that have major medical expenses, episodes. So that's your top 25 prescription drugs, you know, so some of the names you'll recognize based on commercial you've seen on TV.
Commercials only.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know they make money, yeah.
Yeah. I got it.
And one thing that we'll do when we meet with your employees this year, regardless of what direction you go, Walmart is implementing programs that curb drug costs. So I think we might have talked about Prudent RX last time we were here. You know, whether you go IGCP route or you stay self-funded, there's gonna be programs that Walmart's gonna make you implement to control drug costs as of 7/1. So we'll talk about those. When we were here last time, I mentioned Walmart no longer covers Humira as of January 1st. That was across the board of business. There's other things that are coming down the pike, regardless of what you do for 7/1, that we'll make sure to educate Amy and the team on. The bottom page, these are your large claimants, top over 25,000. So you might have more than this, but they're just showing your top 20 that were 25,000 above. You know, the first one was 131,077, 69. I think this report's fine. It talks about a past look. I actually think in a few pages here, what they project some of these individuals that have next year are more telling to me.
I think another just interesting piece of that too, is you see what the relationship is. Half of these individuals are either spouses or dependents. So just another thing to think of or note is half of the employees of those high cost claimants are employees and the other half are spouses or dependents. Which is, again, typical of what we see.
And some are over age 65. So, I mean, I don't like to come in here and say stuff blatant like that, but it's in the underwriting notes. Walmart makes a note to us that you guys have over 9 people, I think over age 65. So a group your size, they could be on Medicare and your plan, you know, you can't ever tell someone they can't be in your plan anymore. But maybe education sometimes is warranted.
If there's someone that could come here during open enrollment and specifically talk about
Absolutely.
Medicare,
And I think,
give them those options.
yeah, and I think we talked about, you know, we're happy to, you like a neighboring town had a nice person that was good at Medicare, you know, we could coordinate something like that.
Mhm.
You know,
I
if it
don't even
makes
know what some of
sense.
these words mean, sorry.
I know. Don't ask me.
I'm looking
Oh,
at
you know what? We have to Google it too sometimes. Like, I mean, like Google, seriously, Google's your best friend. I'll give you one hint here. On the far right-hand side, anything that's in all capital letters though.
Yeah.
So if you go halfway down,
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory, dermatologicals, those are actually prescription drug related. So anything in all capital means that a prescription drug was the main driver of that person's total healthcare spend for that year.
Okay.
So you can see halfway down through the page, dermatologicals, and then the bottom, dermatologicals, migraine, dermatologicals.
That's probably Terry putting up with us, migraines.
Migraine. I was that age range too. so.
Yeah. We're not gonna call anybody that.
Yeah.
Not our thing. But that's another thing, we're kind of like Walmart, really, you can't show us they have $0 prescription drugs.
Right.
The next page is just talking about emergency room. The only reason it's on here, your emergency room was up quite a bit from last year and now is above the benchmark. So put this report in here. This is one observation we had. ER visits, you had 66 on last year. That is well above Walmart's norm. I don't know if it's because there's no urgent care centers. Maybe that's just the only, you know, so yep.
Probably kicking us in the butt.
Yep.
right there.
But I think maybe just something we'll maybe educate around at the open enrollment meetings. It's just maybe an opportunity just for a conversation is all. And then we jump down to page 13. So Walmart, like I mentioned, they do give us pretty good underwriting notes. Main thing I take away from demographics, 9 over 65. So I'd say you guys trend on the more experienced side, right? I'll call people experienced when they get over 65. Expected claims, you guys are running at 114% of expected. So what Walmart told you guys last year, we expect you guys to spend, I think it was $2.3 million last year. You're running at 114% of that. One thing we talked to Amy a little bit about on the way in is we are still trying to wrap our, you know, you guys have been a client for 19 days, I think now. We've got a named agent on March 1st, excuse me. So we're trying to figure out how you guys are running, and Amy thought you guys have a pretty good handle on what your spend's been. So some of the numbers I'll talk about in a little bit, we'll need your guys' input and discussion on what's real and what's, you know, maybe fluff, not fluff, but if you're, yeah, on the funding. Your net claims continue to increase. they're saying your group trend is 18.1%. You had asked about trend earlier. Wellmark's trend right now is 7% for medical and 13% for pharmacy. So blended, you guys obviously don't have a drug problem. You guys are a little light on the pharmacy side. So I'd say your trend's probably closer to 8 or 9% when you blend that 13 and the 7. But large claim instances over $10,000. So Walmart truly calls a large claim anything over 10,000, which I think is ridiculous. Been doing this 18 years. It doesn't take much to get $10,000 in claims, maybe or whatever. But you have 39 people that were over 10,000 last year. That's well above their expected levels. So
The cost of medications anymore.
it's, yeah,
Even if we
absolutely.
are low on our drug numbers, the cost could be.
Well, these are per month costs, 3,000,
When
5,000,
you're
it doesn't take
looking through
anything.
That other page here on drug costs.
Absolutely, absolutely. So here's the big thing. They're quoting an increase in expected claims of 15.57%. The large claims, and this is something I kind of want to not plant a seed with you guys, but just let's have a conversation while we think about what we're doing next year. Your large claim is over 45,000, so you guys have a $45,000 specific deductible. So the county's paying claims on everybody up to 45,000. That's had double, they expect it to double. So there were 10 claimants over 45,000 this year. 7, they believe will be over $45,000 next year. There are 5 they expect between 50 and 100. And then there's 9 between 25 and 50. So we don't, those people that are 20, you can almost argue it's worse to have everybody get to $44,000 than have a bunch of people blow way past it because Walmart stop loss kicks in. So that number is a little bit alarming to me too. 9 people between 25 and 50 that you guys will probably be paying up to $45,000 on next year. It's not all doom and gloom. I'm just trying to, level set with you guys where you're at and when you think about what our options are for next year.
And I think to further Joe's point, like that's why we'd like to run through this information, because the product that we're about to, I guess, run through is a more stable approach. To where one, we'll know our renewals a lot earlier on in the year, and we're staying away from these types of years. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
Keith, you're part of the team.
Yeah, I feel like.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, I got my job.
That's right.
But in.
So this is, I was kind of alluded to, I do like this page a little bit better than some of the other stuff we talked in the past about, here's what happened last year. That's all fine and dandy. That's why you have insurance, but they can predict what might happen to some of these, or what we might expect to spend some of these next year. So we have 2 pages here of people that are kind of on Walmart's watch list, if you will. So, you guys are small towns. So the first one, they expect between 50 and 100,000. MS, the next one, between 100 and 2. The third one down, they expect between 100 and $200,000. There's a cancer treatment, second one from the bottom there, they expect between 100 and $200,000 next year again. Yeah, and then another page, we kind of talked about those 9 people that we think might get up close to 45,000, or at least over 25,000. So we don't need to go through every single one of them because I'd have to Google them too, just like you mentioned. Just say these are kind of the people that I would have on my radar if I was a self-funded customer, which you guys are today.
$5 drug.
I think it's also kind of, I laugh a little bit when I see the high dollar drug, and it says up to $25,000, because again, like that's not bad.
Yeah.
It's so easy to hit something that's an $11,000 prescription refill. If 1 or 2 of your members are on that, that's when you really start from the self-funded side. That's when you really start to see the increase from the stop loss and medical increase as well. Which I think is kind of forecasting to the next page.
Yeah, good transition. So if you go to page 16, here's what Walmart's offered you guys for next year. So obviously, hopefully we're independent. I told you guys that when we first came here, Jeff and I, the lawyer backed me up, said, whatever you guys do, we just want to do what's best for the county. We can work with you in any situation. So we have the IGCP quote. I'll just mention this too. Keith and team did a market check with United Healthcare, Gravy, Health Partners. They all thought your Walmart renewal was fair, meaning they weren't really going to release a quote Just, you're not gonna change for no savings, right? If it's apples to apples, you're stay where you are. So just so you know, we kind of did a market check on that, the other carriers as well. So here's what the offer is from Walmart next year. Administration fee is going from $48.20 per employee per month to $15.75. That's a 3.58% increase on Walmart's administration fee. So Walmart right off the bat, you're asked, what do they make on you guys? They're gonna charge you $100,000 next year to administer your plan. The stop loss, so this is buying that protection to stop the bleeding at $45,000 per belly button in the plan. This year you guys spent $505,000 on that. Next year it's gonna go to $556, a 10% increase. And actually, I would argue that's pretty darn fair. Walmart does more of a socialized approach on their stop loss, meaning that, they don't fluctuate like this as much on the stop loss perspective. But it's still a 10% increase for $50,000.
So do we know then if we spent 505,000 on the stop loss, how much did Walmart pay?
Above that,
Right, above the 45,000?
Well, like your top claim alone was 110,000 and this one was, 80,000.
So we did save substantial money by having.
oh, absolutely. Oh, you need stop loss. Absolutely. Yes. But I don't think they paid out $500,000. The first person went over by 100,000, they paid the 100. Someone else went over by $30,000, they paid 30 on that, You guys paid $505,000 premium. So I don't think Walmart necessarily paid out $500,000 in stop loss claims. I think they're building this buffer in of 10% because next year we talked about who's on this watch list or whatever.
Right.
So then we bring this down, so that's 8.87%. So the expected claims, this is kind of where I was not challenging you guys, but ask for opinion. So next year, you're gonna pay $54,375 more with Walmart to stay self-funded. So we carry that down to the top line there, and then Walmart gives us some expected claims numbers. So this year, they expected you guys to have $1,681,245 in claims. This is where we don't have our hands wrapped around yet. I don't know what you guys have paid out in claims this year. Being on the account for 19 days or whatever, do you guys know? Because this year they would expect you guys to spend 2.3.
Will you be giving us information that tells us how much work?
On a monthly basis.
Because we've never had that before. That was one of your better selling points, obviously.
Yeah.
So what
So
you're
we
really at,
know because we sit here guessing.
Yeah.
And what we should have how much should we fill into our, to our account?
Yep.
Into our fund. And it's a guess.
Yep.
Really a vague guess. It ain't educated.
I think starting April 1st, you'll start getting these reports from us on a monthly basis. We'll have access to all your information. So yeah, on a monthly basis, no matter what you guys do next year, we'll be giving you what you paid out, what we expected you to pay out. So if we guys stay self-funded, we'll set a budget. And then on a monthly basis, we'll say, here's what the budget was set at, remember? And here's where we spent, positive or negative. And we'll have a running total. You guys will get it monthly from us.
That's a good deal right there.
Like this-
I'm happy.
what year after, what we don't know yet is our projection of what coming.
Yeah, so
under or
last
over,
year-
what-
Last year, you guys, I assume if Walmart told you, hey, your expected costs next year are $2.305,000. I don't know where you guys set budget at. The worst case you guys could spend in this 2023-24 calendar year was 2.7 million. So Walmart also gave you a maximum number. And sorry, we just ran around the page, but really all the maximum is, if you take those expected claims, take them times 1.25, that's the most you guys could pay in claims under your contract with Walmart. So you guys bought aggregate stop loss insurance, and you guys paid $11,376 for it last year. What aggregate stop loss insurance says, your worst case scenario is really not $45,000 on every single belly button plan. You guys bought protection over the top. That's aggregate insurance. You guys paid that number for that. So what aggregate insurance does, it takes your expected claims times 1.25% or 1.25, and that's your worst case scenario for the year. So your worst case scenario for the year, if I take 1.68 million times 1.25, and then I add that $613,100, 101 that you guys paid this year in fixed costs, your worst case scenario for this plan year we're ending right now was $2.714 million. So I don't know if you guys landed between closer to that 2.3 or that 2.7. It's gonna be important when we tell you what the IGACP numbers look at, because that is a fully insured price. Makes sense? So I'd probably, if we can get all this historical data and get it built back, and we can go back a couple years and build this for you. I don't think you're gonna hit 2.7 this year, but I think you're probably over 2.3 based on what we know today.
And that's where that increase comes from.
Oh, she's gonna look maybe.
I bet.
Okay, okay. But, yeah, I think like Jeff and I are selling you guys, like, on a monthly basis, you'll get what we expect you guys to set up based on what we set budget at and what you guys are on a monthly basis. They'll get emailed over monthly, and quarterly we'll meet and go over it.
Let's just say we hit that 2.5, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I guess, where's that bring us today then, as far as you're gonna get to that?
Yeah, so just work over it. Yeah, good segue. So your current quote costs, we don't know exactly where you're gonna end. The year's not over anyway. They expect you to spend 2.3 this year. I talked about the fixed cost going up 8.7. Walmart's saying your expected claims are gonna go up 18.1%. So now I'm just looking at the second line down here.
Yep.
Now we're trying to build the rest of the puzzle. So we know fixed costs are going up to 8.87. They think your expected claims are gonna go up 18%. So that takes the expected claims from 1.68 million to 1.98 million, almost $200 million. Not 200 million, $2 million. Well, the worst case scenario is 1.25 times that 1.9 million. So that's also an important number to have in the back of our head. That is 3.147500. So here's what Walmart sent our team. They said, oh, well, 15.1% overall increase next year, raise your rates by that, set the new expected cost at 2.6 million, you'll be good to go. But I think you guys are running hotter than Walmart's expecting you guys to run this year, so I don't know why it'd be any different next year. So if you go off Walmart's expected increase, next year there'll be $346,000. So that's that number in the bottom right.
It's quite a jump.
It is. And I mean, I guess if you guys are over expected this year, the jump's a little bit less, but you'll probably be over expected again next year. So that, it's probably higher than 2.6 million, is my thought. So.
And I think a lot of that too, just from being self-funded and your employer side is roughly a little over 100 enrolled. We do see that a little on the small end being self-funded. So again, the product that we brought today is a fully insured product. When we see self-funded, you view it as like law of large numbers. Typically we see anywhere in 200 and above. Not saying it's not the right fit, but that's when we get to see a little bit more of the cost jumps up and down when you have a smaller group of individuals, because really one or two claimants can hit that stop loss pretty quickly.
And one thing we didn't talk about, when you are self-funded, there is a thing called a laser. So Walmart could come back and say, not this year, they didn't this year, there's no lasers this year. But next year, let's say those two people do go between 100 and 2, and next year they think they're gonna have 102 again. They might say, whoa, stop loss for this person, not 45. Stop loss for this person's 145. They laser individual people out. You guys did not get any of those this year. So there's no lasers this year, but that is always a possibility for a group your size. Walmart could say stop loss for everybody but Joe. His
Yeah.
145,000.
Is that in the fine print?
Yeah, like Christmas present, yeah.
Joe just got
That's-
paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys don't have any lasers. I'm not trying to
That's
scare
probably
you.
not an employee.
I didn't know you
either.
could either. I mean, is that typically triggered after a couple of years?
Yeah, Walmart's, they try to be fair. Walmart is a good company. And the IGCB quote is Walmart behind the scenes. So I'm not bashing any insurance company, but lasers are a real deal. The insurance company says, hey, Joe, you're on $100,000 medication. You're 50 years old. You're gonna be on this group for the next 15 years. We're not gonna stop paying at 45 on you. We know you're gonna spend 100 on your drugs alone.
Right.
So it's good, the more predictable they come, the longer you've been in a situation, the underwriter's gonna look at it and say, we're not stopping at 45 for this person. This person's gonna cost us 100.
Hey.
But there is no laser there. If you get a laser ever, and you guys stay self-funded, we just show you. If this laser hits, there's an extra $100,000.
It's from July 1 to down.
Well, they tell
So
me that
this
they did
is,
that, like the chemo or,
this is current activity.
well, the MS people, I mean, that cost never goes away. I mean, that's kind of a lifelong.
Yeah.
So I mean, that person maybe a laser or something.
And Walmart is a little bit better than like a United Healthcare or a Aetna or, you know, Humana, you know, they're kind of more like, well, they're the biggest player in the state. They're more socialized, I guess, if you will, and how they underwrite their philosophy. So I'm not saying even if you guys stay this route, you're gonna get later next year, but that's something that I don't do my job. I don't tell
That's the
you.
first I ever heard of it. I'm glad you brought it to my
Yeah.
attention, because
Yeah,
I mean,
I've never heard of
that'd
it.
been a kick in the gut.
I got-
to me If somebody got, one of our employees got laser.
I think 6 out of my 10 groups have, you know, it's not necessarily like, okay, we know you're gonna go over 45 or their specs 50, they're gonna stop at maybe 75. It's not always huge, but it can.
I'll have to look and see what that is, but here's like stop loss that's been paid back to us.
Okay,
You know what I
anything
mean?
over 45,000, yeah,
Yeah.
you got reimbursed.
This is our claims.
Okay, so that's not a full year, so we could annualize that number.
Right, cause it's probably got some overlap,
So if
you know what I mean?
So look at
Yeah.
this, if you take this number, you're at $1.46 million in claims already.
Yeah.
This is only through March 19th.
Mhm.
Walmart told you you're only gonna have 1.6, you're gonna go way past 1.6.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they expected you guys to be, that's why I'm saying, I
Come on,
can't really,
Melissa, you can have it.
I really can't believe that you really only expect a 15% increase in this scenario. That's my only point.
Yeah, they're being awfully kind.
You're right.
Well, yeah, if you're-
With us.
You still got April, May, June, you got 3 months, 3.5 months to go,
Yes,
and you're almost to this number.
yes.
Okay.
We're almost at the 1.9.
No, your current year.
We're almost to
1.6.
1.5.
Walmart told you they thought you were gonna spend 1.6 this
And we're
year.
almost there.
You're at 1.5 already through May 19th, or March 19th.
Yeah.
Got a ways to go.
Don't be spraying. Don't be spraying.
Yeah.
Well, and it's unfortunately too, the immunizations start to come a little bit more frequently, at the end of the plan year, so. The number.
Yeah, now deductibles haven't met, you know, for January 1st, sometimes people are like, okay, I bet my out of pocket or whatever.
Mhm.
What else can I get done?
Right,
Not-
no, I know, yeah.
I mean, I think that way too, I work in the industry. My wife had a kid, I'm like, why did we wait till November? I could
I
have
know,
been,
exactly.
this time all year.
But
Okay, so here's the offering from Walmart. Again, they think you're gonna go up 15%. I think the numbers to are important are this year, your worst case scenario is 2.7 million. If you renew, the worst case scenario is about 3.1 million. So just have those numbers in the back of your mind. I'll talk about them again when we talk about IGCP. And the stop loss isn't final until April 1st, or April.
Correct.
So here's the other caveat that Walmart doesn't always tell you. Walmart sent us this, but these stop loss numbers here, this 10% increase, they're not gonna finalize that till April. They can't do it for 90 days out from the effective date.
Oh,
So if something else happens the next 11 days or something, this number could change. So there's my, I always like full disclosure.
right, and probably not now,
I'd
either.
rather have full disclosure and
Right,
not be blindsided.
Yep.
no surprise.
No lasers.
Moving on? Yeah.
Let's
Let's get something up.
go positive.
Yeah, good thing.
With employees and spouses and children, do we know, are there dependents, do we know how many total people are on the plan?
We don't really know.
We had 113 employees.
You guys have a lot of families, so I think your belly ones are way up.
You're up in the 200 range, but I don't know.
I think it's actually
Of it.
3.
Is that the 3?
I think so, like 337. I don't know why that number's in my head. We could obviously get that back to you guys. But it is pretty high.
Yeah,
You have 82 families, I think, over it.
yeah. We have more, way more families than single.
And that stop loss is in every belly button, right? It's,
If we get younger staff, though, that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think kids are usually free premium to the insurance companies. I get it, they might break a bone here or there, but usually, yeah, it is, It does help
My
advertise.
youngest daughter breaks that norm.
Wrapper and bubble wrap.
Yeah.
These are dad's kids.
Mine are on their own
Yeah.
insurance now.
Oh,
I'll go through this kind of quick. This next page here with the how to fund your health plan. So it's just kind of going from left to right, conservative for the risky, obviously the risk reward, the reward goes up too. And so does your opportunity and control. So you guys are self-funded today. What we're gonna talk about is partially self-funded. So if you go back almost to the far left there, partially self-funded means that we would join IJCP. We'd buy a higher out-of-pocket maximum plan, but behind the scenes, self-fund that down to what the employees realize today.
Mm.
So I'm gonna try to walk through that like in great detail in the next couple slides, but that's what partially self-funded means. We believe a group your size, just because of volatility, that might be a better fit than being self-funded with, you know, some of the diagnosis that we see coming maybe down the pike. The other thing is, in IGCP, they have an underwritten quote for you that's good for 7/1, it'd be good for 12 months, just like your current plan would be. But you join at your own risk, so they underwrite you guys based on how you are today, but the renewals are all the same. So like, for example, this year, everybody at IGHCP got a 4% increase. So you go in at your own price, everybody's different, but you all renew with the exact same percentage on that portion of the Walmart premium. So I think most groups this year average out to about a 3% increase. So a little bit less volatile, and last year was, I wrote it down. Last year was 3.19, this year was 4, and that's just on the Walmart portion of the premium. It's been around since 2005, and the average increase since 2005 is 6.6. So just really steady Eddie, kind of like Keith was talking about. It does take out some of the ebbs and flows of a self-funded group of only 100 people. Like 300 value buttons is a little bit bigger than I thought,
Yeah.
but
And
still.
again, probably follow up on that too. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head too. But I think the main attraction of these trusts are joining a larger pool of insurance. If you were fully insured, let's say, you would be in a quote unquote Walmart trust. Let's say you would be in the over 100 market. How they're pricing you is based off of how every other group performed in that pool. You'd be more directed towards your performance, but in this trust, it's for cities and counties only, along with some other municipalities and schools. But with just that highlighted piece at the bottom, you see 11,000 members. That's how Walmart's able to give stable renewals, is because the law of large numbers comes back into play.
Yeah, the averages will consistently in that.
Correct.
Minimal, the
Yep.
average makes sense. I never thought about that self-funded deal until you put it in perspective. It's pretty small,
You know what though, but even,
but it worked for us.
you're
a long time.
They say you should probably win every, 5 out of 7 years, you probably come in under expected.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was the right decision. I don't doubt that at all. I just, things change and you
From
don't buy
where we
insurance.
were to where we got, to where we went, and
Right.
it was light years ahead. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Cause when was that, 10 years ago, we were down, our pool was down to $300,000.
Walmart. Number of years.
And we
ago,
went back to
pushing
Walmart
2 million.
proper instead of a subsidiary of
Oh,
Walmart.
FAI probably.
Yes.
FAI back in the
Yeah,
day.
about,
How long ago was that?
was it about 10 years?
Yeah.
Bigger one, huh?
Was it
Right at.
right when you came? Right about, yeah.
So,
So you can't win as, when you go partially someone, we're gonna set aside about $300,000 to pay for those plans. So you're not gonna win or lose as great as you guys, do now, but there's still an opportunity to win because you're doing some self-funding behind the scenes.
Right.
I think that important piece is like, you'll know, kind of like today, your max spend as well. So from a budgeting perspective, another good part about this trust is these renewals come out, what is it, late January?
January 10th about,
January 10th.
because it's so large, they can predict the
Oh,
renewals. So
wow.
you guys would have your
That's
numbers.
early.
You'll have your numbers in the middle of
Look at her
January.
just get
Wow.
right.
Now you got 6 months to fret about it.
That's right. We just need the stability though.
I do think it'd be a soft landing spot.
I think us 5, it is our job to, be conservatives or whatever, as a taxpayers' money, and having stability in it is, we'd be doing the right thing. I mean, now we're just kind of shooting in the dark and hoping for the best.
I do think we can help take some of that away. Like I mentioned, we'd give you monthly reporting, so it would be as shooting in the dark, but I think this still might be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, like I said, it doesn't matter to us if you're self-funded in this. We'll still get claims reported on a monthly basis, what you guys paid to Walmart versus what they paid out in that higher deductible level. So if we end up seeing, Crawford County is now one of the subsidizers, like you guys are healthier, we can maybe go back to Walmart and ask for a standalone quote again. Maybe some of this stuff cleans up or population you get way younger, things like that. You're never locked into this. It's a year by year decision we can make together and educate you guys on it. I wouldn't say like we're doing this for a short-term gain, I'd say if we're gonna go in this, let's try to be realistic, maybe stay in 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
Unless the renewal is really unjustified or something, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So if you look at, this is kind of where it gets like not hard to read, I guess, but This is what IGCP put together for us. There was about 10 other slides we took out. We can send the full presentation after the fact, but on this far left here, Walmart Alliance Select, this is what you guys have today. So I kind of mentioned you guys have a $2,000 deductible. Your out of pocket is $3,000, 80/20 co-insurance, preventive care is 100%. You guys have a drug deductible down below that yellow line, mustard line, 50 and 100 with out of pocket maximum 1,000, 2,000. And your copays are 10, 25, 40, or 10, 20, 45. You guys do not cover tier 4 drugs now, and your specialty is $85. I'm just pointing out because we go to the next column, I'm going to show you the differences. So the way partial self-funding works, because the way it worked out, they could not match your $2,000 deductible. So they would actually say, we're gonna give every employee a $1,500 deductible, so a little bit better there. The family's no longer 3, it's gonna be on a $2,500. What they're gonna buy from Walmart's in that gray though. What we're paying Walmart for, we're gonna buy a $5,000 single deductible, a $10,000 family deductible. Don't get too hung up on that, because the out-of-pocket's what really matters when you partial self-fund. Down below, your employees today have a $3,000, $5,000 out-of-pocket maximum. We're gonna give them a $3,000, $5,000 out-of-pocket maximum. That gray line below that, what we're buying from Walmart though, we're buying a $9,100 out-of-pocket maximum for every single person, $18,200 out-of-pocket maximum for every family. So here's where your self-funding comes into play. It's a lot cheaper to buy that plan from Walmart than just go to Walmart and say, I want to buy a $1,500 plan.
Right.
So this is the opportunity where you can still win in good years. Note though, the difference between $9,100 and $3,000 is $6,100. You have 31 single people on your plan. That risk is $189,100. We know from doing this since 2005, in any given year between 18 and 25%, that's a pretty big spread, but 18 and 20, I would say, people hit their out-of-pocket maximum in any given year. We kind of take turns having those years. Not everybody hits it. So, but 18 to 20%, they'd say, hit it in a given year. We're gonna build in 30% funding to pay for people that go over their out-of-pocket. So what this quote shows is 30% funding. And I'll show you what those numbers mean, and you guys can say, that's fine, this is such a good deal, maybe we'll build in 40% or whatever, we can talk about that. So on the family side, we're buying an $18,200 deductible. Your family stop at $5,000. So that's $13,200 in every family in liability. You have 82 families. That's $1,082,000. Quite a bit there. So those two numbers, if every single person in your plan hit their out of pocket in the same year, you could spend $1.2 million. Never gonna happen. I don't want to say that'd be a pandemic because we've had a pandemic, but it still doesn't happen. It's never happened in the history of this trust that every single person's out of pocket maximum in the exact same family. Like I said, their history shows that between 18 and 20% hit it every year. You know, some years it might be 25, some years it might be 15, but I would say of that 1.27 million number, we're gonna build in 30% of that. About $320,000. We're gonna build in $381,000 to the rates. So let me finish with the plan design real quick.
Allocations.
Okay. So partial self-funding, this is the difference. We're gonna buy this stuff in the gray, but your employees are gonna realize what they have today. Obviously, the deductible's a little bit better. If you go down below the blue RX complete, you guys are on blue RX value right now. So you guys are on a cheaper drug plan, which most of my clients are. The trust made the decision to put the blue RX complete in. It's a little bit richer drug plan. It covers, the biggest thing you'll notice here, it covers tier 4 drugs. Today, you guys don't cover tier 4 drugs. This plan does cover tier 4 at a $40 copay. Also, if you're in years ago, the trust had the blue value RX. It was like 0.5% to go back to blue RX complete. The trust, the members, Crawford County would have one vote. The members voted to change their drug plan. So if you guys join this trust, you could have one vote, just like Region 12 has one vote. Just like City of Harlan has one vote. So this was a decision made at the trust level. So that's why I'm pointing out the differences. You would not have a drug deductible under IJCP. So right now, your employees, if they're on a tier 2 or higher drug, they pay the first $50, then their copays kick in. They also have a separate out-of-pocket maximum. They could pay up to $1,000 per single or $2,000 per family in drug copays. You guys have that today. The IJCP plan does not have a separate drug deductible.
That should be, okay.
So that's a positive. So your employees, in theory, could spend $1,000 less on medicines. You guys having this though, being self-funded, I would absolutely have this check valve in there too. So I think it was smart to have it, but I'm just saying IGCP does not have it. So your employees would have a little bit better benefit there as well. And then it covers those tier 4 drugs that you don't cover today. There is a difference though. Tier 1 matches up $10 copay. Tier 2, it's 25. But tier 3, you guys are currently at 45, it'd be 40. So some things are gonna be in the drug better or worse, but I will argue that the Blue RX Complete covers more drugs in a whole totality
Right.
than Blue
Well, they
RX
lose
Value.
this off the top,
Yeah,
so
right at the top.
it's better, so.
Specialty is the same, your mail order is the same. So on the far right, we do have an HSA option. We'll come back to that because I know there's some interest in HSA, but let's just start with keep comparing apples to apples, if you will.
Yeah.
So now if you go down to the bottom, this is from IGHCP. So first, just go down to annual cost. They're showing the annual cost of that worst case scenario, $2.725 million. So down in this gray box, IGHCP backed into your numbers and they said, if you guys funded at maximum, you would have set your single rate at 962 and your family rate at 2406. Make sense? You guys are gonna land somewhere in between there. You're not gonna spend 2.7, we already talked about that, but you're gonna spend more than the 2.3 or whatever that we quoted. So we have to have a baseline somewhere. This is your current plan. I want you guys to write down a number below that 2.7. If you guys stay self-funded with Walmart, write down that 3 million number I mentioned, the worst case scenario next year, if you stay as is, it's 3,147,500. 1,314,750. So that's your worst case scenario of next year. If you guys stay self-funded with Walmart, right? They're predicting 2.651, but we know the worst case, we're probably gonna be somewhere between that and the worst case. So I want you to have a worst case.
Okay.
Because one thing IGCP is doing, they're comparing your current rates. They didn't know at the time that your rates are going up 15%. So it makes more sense for us to compare 2024-25 to 2024-25. So here's how IGCP works. There's a typo right at the top. It's not a $750 deductible, it's a $1,500 deductible. So apologies there.
Bonus.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we got that fun. Yeah, sorry.
That's what?
It's a 1,500. We tried to match apples to apples, but we couldn't make the 2,000, but we did go down to 1,500. So then just work through this with me. On a single side, to buy that $3,000 or $5,000 deductible with a $9,100 out of pocket, it costs $721.74. To buy the family, it costs $1,804.36. We know some people are gonna go over, they're gonna go over the $3,000 that we set the out-of-pocket limit at, so we do have to set aside money. So I mentioned setting aside 30% of that $1,271,000 number. That was $381,000. So how we get there? We set aside $163.01 for every single in the plan every month. And we set aside $326.03 for every family in the plan every single month. This is just going into your guys' own bank account to pay those claims above what we're offering the employees and what we're buying from Walmart. IGACP has a consulting fee. They put their standard broker fee in there, so we can come back and negotiate and discuss all this stuff. Well, actually, you can't discuss IGACP fee, but it is what it is. And then there's an EBS consolidated billing fee, because EBS does the billing behind the scenes, and they do the partial self-fund administration. So it's not like your employees are coming to Amy and team saying, hey, I went over 3,000, you owe me $6,100. It's being done by a third-party administrator called Employee Benefit Systems. So you're paying that. Walmart also charges 83 cents per employee per month to send these files electronically. So when I go to the doctor or whatever, they'll send the payment into Walmart. Walmart's gonna pay it based on a $9,100 out of pocket. We know that's not right. So they're gonna send that to EBS. EBS will generate a new EOB and they'll pull money out of Crawford County's account to pay the difference between that $3,000 and $9,100. So those are the fees. So if you just go down and look at the total rate is $930.27 and $21.90. The annual cost, if you joined IGACP, would be $2.5 million.
And that's if the maximum, if just for this plan, because you have the opportunity to offer up to 3 plans, correct?
Mhm.
That's if everyone enrolled in this plan only. So as we talk through that second plan offering, if we want to add that, that migration over from plan 1 to plan 2, if individuals would switch over to plan 2, that cost would decrease as well.
Yeah. So I pointed out, Denise is the lady at IGACP, so excuse me but IGACP is showing your annual maximum cost from last year at 2.7. So they're saying the savings is about 8.21% or $223,000. If you guys hit max this year, if we hit that 3.147 million, the savings would be closer to $645,000. Versus going up $345,000, right? Oh, no, that'd include that $346,000 increase. So pretty strong offer from IGACP. The next plan over, they did quote a high deductible health plan. So this is a $3,500 high deductible health plan, $3,500 deductible, $3,500 out of pocket, $7,000 deductible for single or family, $7,000 out of pocket for family. You can see down, you go down, the rate goes down to $657. And the funding, $95, $190. So that rate, you know, if everybody went on a high deductible health plan, you know, you'd save closer to 21%. I would say you'd offer both plans, let the employees make a choice. So this is assuming everybody takes both plans, that's not accurate.
And we have that ability to, I wouldn't say to influence the decision, but just allow employees to make a decision based off themselves. Personally, I'm on the high deductible health plan at Holmes Murphy. Why I chose it is Holmes Murphy contributes $500 to our health savings account every year. And that rolls over, so it truly is the savings account. So if, as the county's decision, if you want to try to push people to that high deductible health plan,
Incentivize.
you can incentivize it. And again, it's their decision, they don't have to. But for really, really low utilizers of the plan, or really, really high utilizers of the plan, we see it being a really good option.
And you can just look out the bat. If you just say, hey, we're gonna set our rates at $930, that's how much we're paying per single, well, that's $132 cheaper if they go on the HSA. So I'm just comparing 932.27 or 930.27 versus 798.11.
Right.
I could put that $132 in my HSA.
Right.
Mhm.
And it
Oh,
could be-
$1,600 in a year.
It could be an annual contribution, it could be a one-time, however you'd like to do that, the employees can then go in and contribute up to whatever the maximum is for that plan year.
What typically is the contribution by employers?
It's if your size, 250 to 500.
Yeah, only $250 to $500.
Yeah.
Holds would be at 500.
And that's the thing too, with this being the first year offering, maybe it's $100 this first year to see how the migration works. And then maybe we want to increase that going into the second year. Or maybe we want to keep it at 500 for the first year and just don't offer it for the next couple. So it could be a one-time benefit, it could be annual, you can increase it.
And you could just set it, at just the delta. You put the delta in your savings account because it's that much cheaper.
Right.
Because you're giving the employees two plans, like, okay, the county has in the budget $930 per employee per month for health insurance. I don't care what plan you buy. That's probably the most fair way to do it. Not that fair is always equal, not always fair, but.
Right. The
You'd
city
at
of
least have
Denison,
options.
the city of Denison contributes $2,500 to an HSA.
Wow. January.
So here's one.
It is very rich.
Same thing.
Are they high?
Yeah. For 500.
Probably.
I have, yeah, the whole thing is 500, you know what I mean?
They always are.
Yeah, I would have probably said 250 to 500. Whole River's at 500. I thought that was generous.
Well,
That's
truly, it
awesome.
looks like that is quite a cost savings to more people that.
Mhm.
choose that
Absolutely.
account.
So here's the other thing. The nice thing about being an IGCP, your renewal is gonna be what is what it is. Everybody gets the same renewal. There was some theories, like if you're on your own, well, if we let people on the high deductible health plan, they're not giving enough premium or revenue to pay for these claims.
Sure.
You know, we don't want them
Yeah.
on the HSA, because then the healthy people get on there, they don't have any claims, we don't get enough money for them to pay for the other people. In IGCP, you get the same renewal no matter what. So there's no such thing as adverse selection. We don't care what plans your employees take. So if you wanna, Amy had mentioned there's been some pretty good chatter about getting an HSA. This would also alleviate some of my concern if you guys are self-funded and rolling on HSA for the first time. We don't have to worry about adverse selection.
For young people, that'd be.
Mhm.
Oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perpetually build that HSA. I mean, they could have a
Yeah.
heck of an HSA someday.
You retired,
Of
helps
course, it
pay
only
your
takes one out of
premiums.
a year to eat that up.
But it stops at 30,
But
but
those
you're
are pre-tax
No, because you're
dollars
still
too.
limited to, you know,
3,500.
3,500 is the most you
Yeah.
can pay.
Yeah.
And if you put in the max every year and don't use it but 1 year, you're still gonna be sitting on a good chunk of it.
Yeah, true.
So the IRS max this year is what, 41?
4150.
4150?
300.
So I get even more nerdy and I say, if I don't put in 4150, I get a 25% tax break. I'm leaving money on the table by not maxing it out. So really, I put in 4150 and it's cost me $3,000. I'm silly for not putting that money in there, tax free.
Right.
And if you know that you're gonna have a surgery coming up, you can throw the previous previous month to
Yes.
pay for that surgery tax-free as well.
And the best thing with HSA, you can pay yourself back 5 years from now. You can keep your receipts and say, okay, now, and actually, I had this in the money market or whatever, I had this invested in stocks or mutual funds. I want to pay myself back now that my balance has grown. You can pay yourself back 20 years from now for a surgery you had. So to your point, I think your young employees, you can really sell this as a nice benefit for them. Even people close to retirement, you can use your HSA, you know, if you're healthy, and actually think about it, your out-of-pocket maximum on the current plan today is $3,000. On the HSA, it's only $3,500. It's only $5 worst case scenario. So I know I'm gonna have surgery, and it's $132 cheaper a month. I can put aside $1,600 and only have $500 more at risk. I'd still be ahead $1,100.
Even if.
So you can almost argue even your high utilizers should probably go on this plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and then also, you know, you talk about having a nice nest egg, people, older folks too, you can use your HSA dollars to pay for Medicare premiums, supplement
Long-term care
premiums, you know, out of pocket. What's that?
Long-term care.
Long-term care, yes, you can. So,
Yeah.
You closer to worrying about that, aren't you, Greg?
I'd say if you're just thinking, you need the wise people that did that when they're in their 20s or 30s.
Think about that.
I'll move on because I know we have a few more slides, but do the numbers make sense? The reason I really wanted to I wanted to point, this is the maximum number. And the number I had you write down is a new maximum for 24, 25 plan there. And these IGCP numbers are this is your offering. You can go there for 2.5 million.
So when you listed on here, Blue Choice Plan 14 and Blue Choice Plan 16, does that mean there's other plans that you don't have listed here?
Yeah, so IGCP has 20 plans out there. We tried to find a plan that to closely matches your copays. You guys have like Plan 13 might have a $10 office of the copay. You guys have deductible co-insurance for your office visits. You don't have copays today. If that was feedback, which
So we're
is
trying to
not
keep it as
normal.
consistent
I was
as
trying,
we
yeah,
can.
we picked
Got
those
it.
two plans because they're consistent.
Okay.
It is so you guys are on Alliance Select today. That is Walmart's broadest network. This is the Blue Choice network. It's a little bit more limited,
Oh, okay.
but the way IGCP utilizes it, they use all the Alliance Select doctors, like Mayo Clinics and network, things like that. You might have a chiropractor here and there that might not take Blue Choice, that takes Alliance Select. That's where we see the most issues. But being partially self-funded, you can say, we're gonna pay every chiropractic as if they're in network. You could use some of that money behind the scenes. We can just have EBS write the plan that way. And those are, $20 differences in visits or something. It's not a big deal. So that is a different Blue Choice. And then let's be realistic. It's not the same to the employees. So partial self-funded, they're going to get an explanation of benefits from Walmart that said, if they call Walmart's customer service number, or they go online or pull their app up, it's gonna show their out-of-pocket is $9,100. It's not because we're partial self-funding, but that's a communication thing, it freaks people out.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, they're gonna be made whole and actually have a better plan than they do today, but, the claims have to work through this process that's noted on the page.
Change is hard.
It is. I mean, the easy button, if I could have brought you guys a 0% increase in Walmart, self-funded, I'd say stay there all day. I didn't get to bring you that.
Right, and that communication will happen during our open
Yep.
enrollment and
Yeah,
then.
on-site meetings
forward.
and.
Okay.
Oh, sounds good. Okay,
I think the big piece about that reimbursement process, you want to hit on, Joe.
I know what you're gonna say.
Well.
Oh, they pay the doctor directly, so it's not, so I guess, I have a claim at the hospital, or whatever. Walmart gets sent the bill from the doctor because they're in network with Walmart. It shows I have a $9,100 out of pocket, let's say the $60,000, so Walmart paid everything but $9,100. Walmart sends that EOB to Employee Benefit Systems, EBS. They say, my employee's only supposed to pay $3,000. I'm gonna pull $6,100 out of the Crawford County account.
Oh,
They'll tell you on Tuesday what they're gonna pull Friday for that week. You can set it up, we can set it up however Amy wants it, or whatever it's convenient for you guys.
Especially on that high cost drug with it being a deductible.
Oh, on an HSA plan?
Correct.
Yeah,
Well, even,
The only.
it doesn't matter on the
difficulty
copay.
is the HSA with prescriptions aren't quite as seamless, so I think the communication is if you do decide to do both plans is if you are on high cost medications, stay with that other plan. It's just easier. If somebody gets on one, the difference is usually they can pay the full cost and then get reimbursed from EBS. So that's where the difficulty lies.
Right, and I know our pharmacies, cause we were on the HSA over at the city when my husband worked for the city. And it was a bit traumatic at first.
Yeah.
It's shocking, but our pharmacies are very good at finding those discounts, those coupons, those that the
Good RX or whatever.
pharmaceuticals are, you know, that they're letting you apply. So, I mean, yeah.
So like, so partial self-funding only comes into play with hospital and doctor's visits, like, you know, someone goes to the pharmacy on the current plan today, it's $10 copay, you just pay the $10, it doesn't, you don't partial self-fund.
No.
What Keith was alluding to, on the HSA side, they're gonna want $6,350 on the spot if you're on a $5,000 medication, or they're going to $5,000 on the spot. They'll have to get reimbursed $1,500.
And that's a weekly, I think Sunday, that Walmart submits that file fee. But they would be responsible for that upfront cost of the prescription drug.
But that's back to Melissa's point, if you stay on the traditional plan, you just pay that $85 copay for that $5,000 drug, there's no partial self-funding there.
Right.
So it'd be a thing we go over open enrollment. Want to talk about non-medical quick?
Sure.
Now we're gonna talk about lower dollar cost items.
Mine's pretty easy. First one you'll see there's your Delta dental renewal. 53.3% of your claims were in preventive and diagnostic. So those are the ones that we like to go see them. That helps those higher cost claims. And also 96.3% of your procedures were performed in network, which is a pretty good number. You had 75.8% of your members using the coverage, which is down a little bit from last year. We were at 78.1%. That also probably parlays into your claims here, where you had average claims were 59 from 165 the year prior. That's still pretty good utilization. It's about what we see. And if you turn to the next page, you will see your actual renewal. Delta is presenting with a 4% increase, which is 7,200 per year. On a per month basis, that's only $1.28 for the employee only and $3.90 for the family. So it's not considerably increase on a per month basis for those employees.
And that's,
Do you hear much on your dental plan? Any complaints, any value adds wanted? I mean, I know we don't show any ortho, and also $1,000 limit. Last year you did have 17 people go over that $1,000, so I just didn't know if you're hearing anything from it.
Sure. No one's happy with $1,000 coverage.
So
You can't do much dental.
right,
I'm putting a cap in later today.
want to mention this back?
So my point with that is we can look at increasing that to 1,500, which is a little more in line. We can go up to 2,000. That's probably an outlier at this point, but we can look at, you know, some differences in the design just to see what that does for the cost. If you want to look at that.
And the 4% increase is not based on, it's kind of Delta's book.
Yeah.
Everybody- It's,
That's a trend.
Yeah,
Basically.
it's a pooled product. I was interested, how come there's so many more people on the demo?
We're gonna get the teeth.
So what was the question? The numbers look a little off compared to what's on the.
There's a lot of people that will be on their spouse's medical and will take our dental. Because used to, a single plan was $0. So everybody had our dental. And then now that we pay $5 or something like that, I mean, some people have taken, you know, gotten off, but for the most part, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, to Melissa's point, we can model a $1,500 plan. Do they have to go benefits today?
I do not know. I have
I
to.
don't think they do, Joe. We can't include that in the quote.
Yeah, so to go benefits means we may not necessarily have to like bump it up 1,500, but you could have a situation where if someone only uses 800, they can carry $200 over, so next year they'd have $1,200. That's a pretty cheap feature to turn on.
That's only for Delta Dental.
Yeah. So we could quote you a couple options, because Melissa's right, and Amy really is hearing some feedback. This is probably on the low end.
Yeah.
And then
She'd know.
of all the employees or all the billing buttons you talk about, They're all full-time or?
Yes.
Yes.
All-
Yeah, we don't
Part-time,
offer
I'm saying, I didn't think we
insurance.
offered any part-time.
I think there's one part-time person. Yes.
Okay.
No,
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 no.
30 hours
Only
more.
full-time. The only part-time people would be the legal people.
Easy. I'm thinking about trading part-time job.
I don't have your insurance.
I want a full-time one.
You guys have been busy.
tell me later.
Stay pretty busy.
Alright, so we'll look at those for Delta.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I think your eligibility should probably set at
30 hours
per week.
usually the
It's
standard.
considered full-time after
Yep.
ACA passed.
That's what I think.
I think Greg is who that you're thinking about.
Yeah,
But he's
We call
considered
it-
full-time.
but he's considered
But he's
full-time because he
considered-
gets our benefits.
Yeah.
He gets a salary.
Okay.
Flat salary.
That's what I was thinking you were thinking about. Cause I thought about that.
Look at yourself, you know.
For vision, VSP came back with a no increase, but you are in a rate guarantee until next June 30th, so nothing really to do there unless your vision's pretty easy. And then for your life and disability, those also came back with no changes for this year, so nothing to worry about on that end.
I think we're still waiting to task, April first.
Yeah, they won't release that yet.
April first.
For flexible spending account? You guys do your flex on a 7-1 calendar? 7-1 plan year?
And then the last page is some compliance reminders, which I won't bore you with. If we have any questions, we'll go through those.
But Amy, you have been paying the quarter fee probably.
Yeah.
We'll send you a calculator, what we think you should pay if you want this year. That's a patient-centered outcome research institute fee that passed with Obamacare. It's currently $2.09 per employee per month, or $3.09. Yeah. And nobody knows where the money goes to.
Yeah.
Somebody knows.
And then each day that's gonna go.
Oh, yeah, it's on the next,
It's up to $3.
it's going up to, yeah, there you go. I saw the thunder on the next page.
Welcome to
It
the.
was
Like,
$3.
We're gonna end it, let's extend it the.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought they were gonna end it. and
It's been extended to 2029.
Yes.
Wow.
Probably going to Ukraine.
History money.
You can see that health savings account limit on that back page as well too, for
Mhm.
single and family.
Catch up.
Offer the HSA, do we have to get rid of task?
You can still offer that FSA within HSA, but it's tricky. You can't have an FSA and an HSA.
So for the employees that has the HSA,
They would then, they
cannot
would not be
do-
able to enroll.
but
in
everyone else
FSA,
can.
Other than a limited, which I can't remember off the top of my head.
We could switch your task to a limited FSA. We need, it's only good for dental and vision for those folks that are on the HSA plan.
Okay.
Oh,
You can use your HSA to pay for dental and vision, but some people like to keep their HSA as a savings account, so then we turn the flex into limited flex.
The good thing is if your HSA or FSA starting over on a 7-1.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than a 1-1, because then you're like, for 6 months, you can't.
I actually think that's, yeah, I think that would be a smooth transition for people going to HSA.
The only thing is we'll just have to remind them if they do have funds, they have to use it by 6/30 or at 7-1, they can't have an HSA, is the
Right.
only thing, and we can do that.
We'll cover all that for them. though.
Welcome to health insurance on a Tuesday. and Wednesday.
There's lots of them.
This is good. We've I've never sat through anything like this.
55 plus
Ever.
contribution. So it allows you to contribute.
Another plus of being 55 over.
Yeah, you can put an extra
Get in the
$1,000.
catch-up contribution plans.
Yeah.
I love it.
So if we move to the IVHCP, would we get like deductible credit or?
Yeah, we get full deductible and out-of-pocket credit even. For
Okay.
people that, what that means is, anybody that,
Oh, no.
your deductibles run on a calendar year.
Mhm.
So someone could have already spent $3,000 between now and whatever, they'll get full credit, they'll be made whole, so they'll start having their out-of-pocket back.
Okay.
Sweet.
Just know that parts of funny, your dollars start kicking in a little bit sooner too, but it's fair to the employees that way.
Right.
And we also get deductible credit for the fourth quarter.
What do you guys do?
So is that something that will go away or?
I believe that'll go away. That's not a thing that is available in the fully insured market. So that would be a change. I can double check with IGCP to see if they have any kinds of offer, but I don't think so.
And I don't know that a whole lot of people even realize.
Right, we'll just
that,
need to
but,
educate that in
yeah,
case they're
that's something,
thinking
yeah,
that that's happening. Yeah.
That's not around anymore, really. That's a nice.
I know, it's kind of crazy that
Yeah.
we still have that.
You guys have any other questions? Today, I know you chatted a ton.
No, I like the direction we're headed.
Pretty good.
So from our standpoint, I know we'll overcome the additional demo quote as well too. Would you guys like any other outstanding items?
You know, if we need to have follow-up calls or something, we're happy to.
Bring in, or-
In fact, we expect you to know
Is that
everything.
demo quote
Yeah.
we'll look at?
Just kind of
Just-
absorbing it.
I know.
We could be here all day if I
I
ask all my questions, so they'll forget it if I don't.
And
When do we need to
always feel free to-
make the final?
I know, it's
Decision.
just because we wanna work back from what you wanna educate employees, you know, we put April on there,
Right.
you can make a decision in April.
Okay.
So you guys would be joining a 28E agreement with all these other counties and cities. And I think, you know, the trust has to renew as one, so they'll need your signature, I think,
So we'll
sometime in
still
April, that's why it's
sell
set.
for that part of the
Yeah,
group.
and our open enrollment's usually in May.
Yeah, and we have plenty of time for that.
Yeah,
Get the election to carry in June and July 1st effective date.
yeah.
You have to hear.
Okay. All right.
Last week's partial, bye.
A lot of information.
Sorry for taking, yeah.
If you need to go to bed at night, reread this. Right to bed. That's
I
right.
know, it's that 3 o'clock wake up that I.
Okay, so we'll use the tax out
Be right back.
So use our self-insurance fund.
or
Or not.
self-insurance.
Or not.
But you-
Well, I really appreciate you guys coming out today and
Mhm.
Well, we
getting
appreciate
us, getting us educated on different options out
Yeah,
there.
I'm just like flooded with. new
Nice to meet the whole
information.
team. see
Yeah.
Yes.
faces. Really nice to know who you're talking to.
We'll send the
Thank you
lawyer
for
back
coming.
next time, don't worry, he's not going.
Well, he's a lot slower talker than you.
That is not true. Yeah.
I had an hour and 12 hours of presentation, I was trying to get done in an hour.
Well, this was great.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
We really appreciate you guys' visit, we look forward to working with you and have a long relationship. So,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Safe ride home.
I was just gonna say that.
It is lunchtime now.
It is.
We-
They're
Oh,
open.
yeah. Get in
Already.
line.
Cranberry Mall.
Oh, there's gonna be a line?
Yeah.
Maybe.
We go pretty fast.
Upload the app.
Yeah.
It does
Get your
go
order
really
in.
fast. They've
We'll go ahead and do that.
got it down to a
Iowa
science.
Deluxe with everything on it.
Mhm, Nebraska land, that's it.
It takes a little longer for them to deep fry it.
Good.
But is that a pork tenderloin?
Yeah.
You know, Des Moines has all these different pork
Oh,
tenderloins.
yes,
South side Des
yeah.
Moines thing.
Chili foot long ain't bad either.
Yeah, that doesn't
I'm always
take very
double quarter-
Yeah.
double quarter pounder.
Well, I'll be asleep in the car home.
Blizzard.
Thank you
Hey,
guys.
seriously though, if you think of more things afterwards, you can get a hold of those
All
anytime.
right, thank
It
you.
doesn't
Thank-
stop and end up
For
at
lunch,
Very
you
much.
say you can't eat a yard of dog
Appreciate
from the Dairy Queen.
All right. here
Drive
we go.
safe.
All right, thank you guys.
Don't spill any of your ice cream.
3 chili foot longs for him.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it. What did he say? Our timeline
This
of
is
making a
that
decision?
April.
How did you get one of these?
And then we'll get the dental
No.
plan
I
from
think
for
Dave
that.
passed it the wrong
Yeah.
way.
So we can make.
I like the savings.
Would you get one of those?
Sure, thank you.
Okay.
Come,
All right.
Dave passed it the wrong way. All righty,
Of
we are
course.
moving on to the assessor's office mini split replacement. I believe that was around $14,000.
14,100.
So this is 2 mini splits in the assessor's office.
Why? two?
I think there's one, is there one
One
back
is
in
on
the,
this.
what was
There's
Dwayne's
one in
office
Dwayne.
straight ahead, and then there's one in the front office
I
area.
do know late last summer, last fall, it was, at least the one in his office was
Right.
throwing fits. He would have to go out and reset it.
What is a mini split?
It's a HVAC, AC, I don't know if there's heat,
You got
but
the
it
thing on the
cools.
outside and then the deal on the inside that blows there. I've got one in my living room.
It's a AC unit. I think they're just straight AC units.
I think they are AC.
Some can be heat and AC.
Mhm.
Mine's a heat and AC.
So this is the email I got from Todd Waniger from Carroll Control Systems.
Right, I
We
read
see
that,
the-
right?
Did you guys get it?
I
I
guess
can't
it was
remember if
something-
I,
It was in the.
Yeah.
Oh, not,
was
okay.
this the email?
No,
The
no,
email that I got. So the unit in Dwayne's old office needs parts, that is now obsolete. I would recommend considering replacement of the units in Paul's, Jill's, and the Veterans Affairs office. All 5 units were installed at the same time approximately 25 years ago.
Got some life out of them then.
So there's 3 more besides these 2 that need,
They're
a
about
thought
$7,000
process.
a piece.
They are about $7,000 a piece.
So are we
We don't.
better off
Is
to
this
wait
the one?
to get all five, for a quote for all of them?
We get a better price.
Why don't you
I don't know,
all
that's what
sign
I'm
that?
asking.
Kinda, I hate to fix things that aren't broken.
Is that the wrong one?
Did you Google it?
Well, no, this was the one that Ty and I thought was the one for the fire tower, so we
Yeah.
signed it. And then we like, oh.
Like what?
I saw you guys sign that and I thought, that's so sweet, the way you did that.
Oh,
Can
that
we
was,
do
we
that?
mistook it for the other.
Assessor's office.
I didn't look at that. I looked
I
at
thought
the
that
number
for
and I
some
said,
reason
well,
you guys were
yeah,
gonna
'cause I knew the other
share
one
the
was at
expense of this,
14,000
and I thought, all right.
500.
Got it. I
I
thought,
wasn't
did I
paying
grab
attention
the
to-
one?
No, we're not.
I'm shocked.
Ours-
I'm
we are
very
our own
shocked.
file.
We
Get
tackle
the
them
white
as
out.
they come.
Just
Yeah.
have
These
those-
are broke and they need fixed. I mean, the other ones, they might be 25 years old, but they might last 30
So
years.
I don't know if you want this to wait till July 1
Or we'll have to do a budget amendment.
into, you'll have to add it to the current budget amendment, which is getting big,
Yeah.
really big. I'm not saying you can't do it in the budget amendment, but I need to know that sooner than later.
They don't have that money just sitting.
And I don't
in a
know
line
if we
item
can
somewhere.
get it that fast. Does he have them? It doesn't say about his
I would
timeline.
have came out of capital improvements, but we probably, with that one said, we haven't budgeted.
Still budget amendment,
Yeah.
even if it's capital, even if it's, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Well, if the office is, there's no air conditioning in there, is that kind of the deal?
I don't know that, cause this is, getting this email on March 11th was the
We take
first
care
I
of
heard
that.
about it,
Right,
so.
Sure.
That, you know, it gets
No
to be.
one-
Cause we
I
are,
do know that Wayne was having trouble with his last August, September. I mean, that
Yeah,
But-
yeah, it'd be nice to get in here before it gets too hot, that's kind of part
we're
of
gonna
it.
have to tackle one way or the other.
Right, yeah, I'd say. get
Right,
the
but if you
order-
can't get
Oh,
the
window
equipment in, the budget
units all
amendment's
one piece.
useless.
right.
Cause you can't spend it
Piece
until we
hangs
have
on
it
the
here
outside
and
of
have
the
it
building,
installed.
And then through two bricks.
I can find that out.
Let me find that
Give me
out.
that flexibility to
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
determine
I'd like
that.
to,
I like-
They work
we have
for that.
air
I can do
conditioner
that.
units that don't
Apparently
work
they
in
only work
offices.
25 years.
I make a motion to, allow the auditor to,
To figure out the timeline?
yeah, figure out the timeline with the Carroll Control, if we need to have it in this year's budget amendment, or we can put it in next year's budget.
That's for 2 units.
It's too late to do that, even it'll be a budget amendment next year too, but.
Okay, the budget amendment for this
It'll
fiscal
be
year or
the
next
current
fiscal
year,
year.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you. That was a Schultz.
Move forward with her having the contingency of
Yeah.
finding out the best timeline.
Mhm. Yeah, there's no sense putting a budget amendment together with that in it, if we can't even get the stuff till after
Yeah.
July first.
Yeah.
Scribble our names up.
Second.
Good.
All right, so, any further discussion?
Call the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. All right, let's see what we can do to put through one.
So we need two in the audit assessor's office.
This is for
Louise is-
2, this is for the 2.
Yeah, but the other ones that we haven't received
Well-
any issues, I don't see any point
Yeah,
in
I-
replacing them immediately.
Yeah.
I agree, who knows, do them as they come, as they fail.
Wonder what they cost
10 more
25
years.
ago.
Yep.
They'll be all throwing sticks and stuff in
All right.
them. He ones too.
When did a
Throwing dandelion.
I move we approve liquor license for Manning Manila Golf
Second.
and Country Club.
You go up there?
I do.
All right.
We have to get that.
All right, we have a motion to approve the liquor license for the Manning Mill
I
Golf
second.
Country Club. Any further discussion? With that, I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. All righty, discussion on the Charter Oak Bank authorization to Bethany Lincoln Hooker, Charter Oak Township Clerk. Everybody understand what we're doing there?
Formality, getting her
It
name
is a
on that.
formality, so
Yeah.
she can take care of the books. We have a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve. I am a Charter Oak Township member.
All right, very good.
I'll second it
All right,
then.
thank you, thank you, Ty. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the motion. All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye.
They,
Motion has,
and that was for Bethany's thing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We still needed one more person for the trustees though, didn't we?
I think so.
Carla Doyle.
Carla Doyle.
She's willing to do it?
Yes, she did. She stopped. in.
Really?
Yep.
All right, add that,
Yes.
please. All right, taking the cue to keep
Thank
things
you.
moving, so we need to set a
I knew I
time
did-
and
I
date
was
for public
forgetting
hearing
something
of
earlier.
land rent
That was
auction
what it
for
was.
the county, Crawford County Farm. When do you guys suggest we do that?
Now, for those of you who don't know, we did get all the paperwork put together for the CRP contract, but it wasn't going to. Well, there was a small opportunity that it could happen yet this spring, but I didn't think, Craig and I didn't think that was wise to put our taxpayers with no payment, so we do a year without no payment, or just a
Good
small
decision.
payment. So we put it not to take place until after October first, which means we will be able to rent it one more year.
Okay.
So we keep the money coming in, so. We originally talked about having some contingencies on there that had to be in the beans, but after talking to one prospective guy interested, and he says, well, wouldn't have to do that, because if we're putting corn, they just, there's an option for them to bail the stocks off of it and make more money, so which in turn would make the cash rent probably more valuable, so. I don't know we'd have to publish it. So what kind of timeline do we need to have it published?
So we can't get it to the newspapers till next Monday, which is whatever it is. What is it? The 24th, 5th?
That calendar is hard.
It's horrible. I'm hoping we still have one of those.
I'll pitch in a couple bucks.
We'd be able to,
Did you upload? Not yet. I will as soon as I get out of here.
So we can get that to them on 24th.
I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I don't.
I said
That
Monday.
one you can read.
Yeah,
Sure.
let's all pitch in a buck and get one we can read. How's that?
25th is Monday.
right, 25th is Monday, so we can publish Monday on
No.
paper?
No, we can get it to the paper on Monday. It'll publish Thursday and Friday.
28,
Is it 10
29.
and 20 or 4 and 20? For notice of. Cause that'll make a difference. So you have to. Oh my gosh. I don't know what the timeline is, if it's a 4 and 20 or 10 and 20.
I don't remember either off the top of my head.
Cause if it's 4,
What do you mean by 4 and 20?
no less than 4 days and no more than 20 days before the hearing.
I don't even know where you Google that. That's a cut.
So that's just for a public,
So you don't push it too fast or have it string out too long.
Right,
It's leave it
right.
in that
Right.
window, but-
but I mean, we're required to do that for farm ground that's going up for rent? I mean, is there a specific Iowa code that says for,
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
Yeah, there's
If
certain,
it's for a budget, it is 10 and 20.
I wanna say it was 4 and 20.
I know, I wanna believe it is 4 and 20.
I don't wanna guess.
I don't either, but.
So if we let the newspaper know on the 25th and it publishes then on Thursday, the 28th. So then your
Friday.
One
question,
is Wednesday, one is Thursday.
okay? So then,
Saturday, Sunday, and that's business day, right?
so we can't go to paper today? and get it
No,
next
it's
week?
days.
well, then.
It's just days, it's not business day.
So if it's 4 and 20, then we can,
You could do it on the 2nd of April,
That's just what I was thinking.
but if it's 10 and 20, you can't do it till the 9th.
right?
Well,
So tentatively mark down both those.
I keep looking.
well, we're here to set the date,
2 and
the
9.
time and date. So, we,
Do you think she's got a thing where she can actually go right in and?
yeah, I wouldn't even know where to go look. But there's no
It's
sense.
468 is the codes that govern
As
it,
long as
but
we're present. I mean, if you're trying to speed the timeline up instead of waiting for the next week's meeting, just say, hey, we're gonna host the land auction
Like to do
at
it.
the sale barn, 8:30 Saturday morning, or 9 o'clock, whatever that is.
As long as you're within that window of
Right,
4 and 20.
you don't have to be in this. I'm just saying, if we're
Within Iowa code, what is?
When we get into
timeline?
April, I think guys are gonna wanna know.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. I would like to see it
468, 265.
sooner.
I would too, I without doubt. I'd like to
Well,
see-
yeah, they're gonna be wanting to
Do you have
do things.
updated lease agreement with Colin done so that it specifies that?
Did you say 468?
Because you know, we need to
Yeah,
have that,
468, 265, Gene, but.
we need to have that done ahead of the auction too, so that,
We need to do assign names up there.
but so that people understand. We could take possession for CRP, so we're not in the same boat as last time.
Correct.
Public hearings, that's budget, 10 and 20 is budget.
Right, I mean, does this count as the budget since it's money that goes into our general fund? Part of the budgeting process or not, or no?
That's a
Now,
good question.
So what is it, what would it be affiliated with and what would you have to abide by?
Notice of public hearing.
We'll get scrutinized anyway, because somebody didn't see it.
Well, yeah, but if we did it right, there's not much.
When is the
We have-
You
machinery
know,
auction?
26th, next Tuesday.
I don't know if that's enough time, but there's gonna be a lot of people there.
Well, we won't have it published till Monday.
Right.
I mean, and if you could get it, I guess, in the paper, and if JR could write it underneath his notes, I think a lot of people read his notes.
It's not, it's like you said, still have to fall within that window.
Right. Yeah, just making sure that you say people will get to see it, a lot of people, read JR's comments and not.
Everybody seems to read his.
It says the public hearing must, no, that's drainage district.
Yep, that's what I
I thought I
keep saying.
started to get close.
I thought. it
Drainage
just-
district.
Well, it goes to closed session.
You need to expand your bladder, stretch it first.
I got a story for you.
I mean, and just so that you guys
My fault.
know, we're still moving forward in communication with the Omaha Foundation.
Okay,
It's just something that they weren't comfortable, once again, with the liability issue. They wanted to get some more clarification from their attorney about that. And so we were gonna run into a time frame issue where we said, you know what? We have an individual that will sign the papers. We're gonna do that, get it done. We're gonna continue to talk amongst us, so maybe they still might be a long-term solution.
yeah,
So, just so you're aware.
okay. Did you figure it out?
4 and 20,
Thank you.
so April 2nd.
April
do it.
2nd, okay,
Do it April
what
2nd.
time?
You took me.
I'm asking everybody.
Oh, sorry.
April 2nd, 10 o'clock. I'll make a motion, set the date and time for a public hearing on land rent auction for April 2nd at 10 a.m. in the boardroom.
All right,
Second.
all right, any further discussion on that time and date? We'll wait for Dave.
Yeah.
All right,
Easiest one to be.
all right, so, we should have.
JR really well.
Yeah.
So we bring in a guest auctioneer. We've done them, we've have up here in the past.
Is that how we've done it in the past? It's just by auction or by
Mhm.
sealed, not by sealed bid?
We just auctioned off right here.
We'll wanna have, you're gonna talk to Colin then about the lease?
We'll have to get that.
We should have the lease probably here that, they're gonna bid, might want to look at.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
Huh?
for,
4 and 20. Have a seat, we're about to
There's a
take a
motion
vote.
and a second, April 2nd at 10 a.m. I'm looking for further discussion on that time and date. You want to wait for you to get back?
Very good.
If not, I'll call the motion. All in favor of the public hearing being held here, right here in the courthouse, April 2nd at 10 a.m. The sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. All right, we will get that posted. Thank you. All right, now we are at our discussion on land use ordinance. Okay, So as you know, with the pipeline to get an ordinance out there, it was recommended that we have a land use plan to refer to, as you looked at in all of the other ordinances from other counties, they referred over and over to as per the land use plan. So Dwayne had brought a land, Ty, do you still have that?
Oh, where did it go? Behind you.
I'm responsible for it. All
I
right.
didn't know if I handed it off or not.
No, so about a year or so ago, Dwayne had brought this up,
I know it.
and then it seemed to, I thought we had got misplaced it, so then I got looking for it again, and it was back down in there. So Crawford County's last land use plan, policy, regulation, zoning ordinance was 1976. When I talked to some folks down at ISAC, said it really doesn't matter, in 1976, you wanted to save your agricultural land for agricultural purposes. So in our policy back in 1976, it said recommended land use policy, prime agricultural, crop land shall not be used for non-agricultural development unless it can be demonstrated that the site or area is equally or more appropriately suited for the proposed use because of location, proximity, or other characteristics. So those are some of the things in this plan that I don't think we would ever have changed, that we want our ag land used for ag purposes. So we found it. So in the meantime, I also found Denison's land use plan of 2005. Because with it being our largest community for economic development and so forth. Now, this I just got this morning, so I think we'd have to have Colin look at it and see how these land use plans would be in effect when we get ready to get our ordinance for just some direction on what property we would feel would not be good use to have hazardous materials on. So,
Well, I'd like to bring up something to add to Colin.
sure,
Because the IUB insisted that, that's part of their format, that, like Summit had to turn in a specific route. And obviously they went to save themselves future dollars when they kicked it in towards Denison, towards the ethanol plant, obviously. And that kind of encroached on where any recent development and in particular with Denison. But also if Schleswig wanted to develop to the east or Buck Grove to the west, I mean, these are hypotheticals. But nobody ever came to check with us. I mean, they picked a plan and because the IUB said, well, and so, I mean, to me, I would like to have not necessarily a land use plan that stops them, but brings them to this table or at least to the zoning to get approval that, they have to come here first before they can just pick her out. And we're kind of stuck with it because the IUB says that's where they have to go. I mean,
This is putting something together, moving forward from today, everything.
yeah,
from the day
exactly.
on
And I mean, it
back
ain't gonna
is-
affect them, but it would
Okay.
affect,
Right,
it
no,
would
we
have
can
if we'd
change the
had.
route. That's not what we're trying to do.
Well, I want it to be clear that we're not trying to
Yeah.
come in here
No,
and supersede
no,
IUB and all this
no,
at
no,
this
too
point in
late
the
for
game,
that,
you know.
too late for that.
But we want any future plans,
Right.
that's where we're after, I mean,
So,
or that's what I'm after anyway,
Well, I
I'm
guess
assuming that's
that's
what y'all are after, but.
Yeah, we could definitely move forward with some of that nature,
I just, not to say that we'd even stop it, I'm
No.
just saying it'd been nice to have known where they were planning, because then we could have discussed with any development potential, because we don't always know who's doing what for development, and, you wanna go over and talk to CDC or talk to the cities, I mean, that's like, nobody was even consulted.
Yep.
So if you got
I
to
mean, if we had a comprehensive land use plan back in 1976.
Yeah.
And so we have something in place. I mean, Summit didn't come and ask for that.
That's what I'm saying, how do we
So
get,
even if you have something in place, that's my point, is that what makes those developers or whatever ask or seek out those plans? We didn't even know we had them.
well, without the land use
So-
plan, an ordinance is irrelevant,
Right,
so we
right.
couldn't make an ordinance
so,
that wasn't defeatable in court. As far as development goes, you see what I'm getting at?
I don't, I guess.
your ordinance would refer to your To your land
Use
use
plan.
plan, yes.
Yes.
That's how Shelby County, I believe it was Shelby County's, their lawsuit through their ordinance referred to their land use plan that established that some of those areas were set aside for development and this could be encroaching on
You see what,
that development.
Alright.
I wasn't explaining myself pretty good. Sorry about that.
So
Together.
Yeah, that's why we're a team.
as a person can see, the city of Denison has a future land use. So I think it would have been nice to have had this sooner, and it talks about estimated number of dwellings in urban growth tiers. Let me I'll pass it on to you. And like I said, I just got this.
Who wrote that for him?
A company called RD.
The architectural firm,
Yep,
right.
they remembered, because when I first started looking for their
I
plan,
mean, I don't believe.
they didn't think they had one, and then, when I talked to Jody, then she said, oh, I remember, and then, so happened, the county actually already had that. I've given it to the county
Maybe they did.
back in 2005.
I don't know.
So I just wanted to, get that back on the table. The other thing that we need to talk about again is, what we're doing with our right-of-ways with the county roads. Have we ever decided how we're gonna handle all of that? This is a copy of, one for construction, not gonna mention county board of supervisors application for approval of underground and overhead construction on county highway right-of-way. So it kind of has it's one that a lot of people think is a good one. I'll pass it around just to kind of look. I think, section 9 and 8 are probably relevant. But what I'd like to do is, once again, involve Colin and have him look this over and see if we can get something that we could, get on the books. So I spent a lot of time talking to some of the supervisors that are highly involved in this, when I was down at ISAC. And if we have nothing in the works and the IUB board, makes their decision, we can't do anything. We're sitting ducks or whatever comes along. So
I'm glad somebody actually did one. I just wish we had made sure we continued to update if necessary.
I can't believe how hard it's been just to put our hands on it. You know, I just,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. So now we have it. So persistence is what I guess the word is there. But just, it's on discussion only. Is it all right if we take these 3 documents over to Colin and see if that helps him in, because we've given him the, see, Dickinson County and Palo Alto counties. And
Yeah, and see what he thinks and
see what he thinks.
are we gonna, through this, will we need to hire some
Probably, yeah.
research development firm that can put together a comprehensive plan such as that and for the county's
I'd
needs?
say it's long overdue to be
And
updated.
if that's the case, if we're going to,
It's,
go to bat for our smaller communities, do we ask them to at some point
well, I think
help
that
them?
the next place I need to go is Schleswig and find out what they possibly have.
Well, they might,
I mean, but we're really not doing it for the summit anymore.
Not
We're do-
anymore,
We're
no.
doing it for future
right.
considerations of even anything, not
Yeah.
not just pipeline.
No.
Pipelines,
anything.
wind
No,
turbines,
it's time we have something.
sewer treatment plants,
Just, I
whatever,
mean-
you know? Who knows what's coming
Who
down?
knows what's
The
coming?
one
Data
thing that's
centers.
bothering us is where the routing was. And we had nobody come consult us, or at least we don't know that we had anybody come consult.
Well,
I would say that you will probably end up going down the path of hiring a firm that does this
Mhm.
and just updating what, so we're current with today,
Yeah.
in today's, at least we have something new that we can.
out of Iowa City, we did this, but I find it peculiar that all they did was, like, blocked out the chairperson and added a chairperson. They blocked out Eileen Hayden chairperson and put Louis Mulbauer. Do you think that's peculiar? That we
Back
would-
in
I think they might have started it when they had one board and it ended, the firm
And
put that
back in
together
the-
based on what the board was when they were hired, brought it back, and that's what the board was when they brought it
We
back.
couldn't have typed a new one.
In
It was way
76,
too costly.
yeah.
It was typed on an IBM typewriter.
And it was already in the little
Gotta
black
take the
things.
binder clip off.
Right, you have to wind
Gee,
that
how
binder
things,
clip all the way
how
around.
time rhymes. Now we're still have a hiding in the mobile.
This will be blocked out next year and you will be added there. I think it's just, so, anyway. It was a coincidence.
I mean, I'm glad you found that. I've been searching old board minutes since we have that search site, and I probably
I can't
I don't know,
believe that we
spent
can't
10,
find
15
it out
hours just
there.
last week
That it,
looking through.
yeah,
I went through all of the book E1 and all of book F1. Each book is 652 pages. And just trying to find the minutes that would refer me to
That,
something.
and that
Right.
was down at
And I
Dwayne's
thought-
office.
And I thought that
Because
there would
it's
be a
only-
resolution by the
I
board,
found it.
you know, stating that we have approved this something. And I haven't found that yet. I wasn't looking back far enough.
Well, this is stuck in here.
Well, that was a busy board.
They added it, 2021, when applying for construction,
Took us all years to get busy again.
we have Hayden, Rosberg, Kyle, Skoog, and Jerry Boat. But instead of,
So something was stuck in that book
Something
in
was stuck in this
2021?
That's
Yeah.
probably with the wind turbine stuff.
Yeah,
we
but
put
that's-
in
the
there.
the decommissioning and all that,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah,
But, so just think if every time we changed the zoning, this would be full of things. That's the only one that made it to,
Well, I don't know, if we probably changed zoning that much.
I bet we haven't.
I would say, take it over to Colin and
Cause you know, the
see
other
what he
things that
says,
start
and if he can
considering
point us in the right direction to update it.
solar,
I
you know,
We'll
I
go
mean,
from
it's
there.
gonna be.
I don't wanna
important. So,
stop anything, but I do
Maybe
wanna
the
make
city
sure
of
that we're
Denison
not
wants to do it
impeding
again.
any other
They-
development.
With the city.
You know what I
of
mean?
Good
they
idea.
actually wanna see this, cause they don't
They-
have this.
You know, that's 20 years old.
Good
I got
idea,
this
Craig.
from our assessor, and when I called the city administrator a couple of months ago, just nothing, then I called and talked to Jody, the current,
That's probably in coordination with the Depson 2020 plan, I'm guessing about that year, right?
Vision 2020.
Vision 2020, about that time
Yep.
period.
Ken Livingston was the mayor.
Well, we'll move
So,
forward on
All
that.
right, so what, do we need to talk to Paul again about what we're doing with our roads,
No, I ain't gonna if I had that because of zoning,
zoning?
but that's why he had it.
Yeah, and then
I
that,
never asked him for it, so he,
Do you have that?
yeah, this here.
Yeah.
we should discuss that with Colin next week when he comes up.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need to take action? Do I need to take this down and show him?
I think we need to discuss it with him first.
Right.
Okay,
You wanna take it down and so he can refresh himself on it, but then he can post it next week.
Crossing permits.
all right, I will take all this over. Well, first I have to go and tell Seth that I'm taking it because I'm responsible for not losing it because these are the only two books we have. It's nowhere out there in the World Wide Webs. Even the city of Denison didn't
Make
have
sure we
their
got
in a PDF
Thing on their
form.
website, that's
They
actually,
they were gonna call this company to see. if
Or
they
at
could
least
send them
somewhere in our
another one.
record.
And I called them and said, hey, we found it here at.
when we do
So all the lost things have been found and
Ain't
so
sure
I'm
don't wanna
happy
lose that.
to have that back in our possession. So I will run over, talk to Colin. All right, so that was a discussion only. We are at the citizens input.
I've got one thing that we need. Have we got a weed commissioner guy down yet?
Yeah.
We do.
It's
Blum?
Jason,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Who is it?
Same one on my street.
Okay.
Jason Blum.
I
You gonna do it
just,
again?
all right,
He just got back from that
okay,
class or whatever.
I was thinking about it the other day. and
I did too.
couldn't remember if we had,
Somebody was talking to me about.
I thought we appointed him last year, that was the last time.
I heard he was.
well, I think when he came and gave his report, he wasn't 100% sure that he was doing it again.
You're right.
Yeah, I
Right.
think you're right, Kyle.
Okay, well, that's good to have that
That's
nailed
good.
down.
And I did get an email, I forwarded it to you
Saw that.
in regards to situation with the fair board and I don't, really, we don't have nothing and no,
No,
no
it's not in that
dogs in the
fight.
fight, like I said, I let.
Yep, I appreciate that.
Okay,
Okay, anybody in Zoom, have any, citizen input for us today?
Should you do the front?
And.
That's two. All right,
We're good.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
any discussion?
Ready to go.
Oh my God, watch your grandma.
All right, call motion, all in favor of adjournment? Aye.
Aye.
Now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good to see you.
Thursday night, what, 6 o'clock?